I think we're ready to start, gamers. We'll start a little early. We'll start a little early and we'll let people start trickling in. But how's everyone doing? So shout out to Kime, first member of the channel, also dropping 5 gift memberships. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Enjoy the gym. Uh we love the proletariat here. I love these little emojis. I added a Marx dissolving emoji because I drew that for a video thumbnail once, and I just added that. Let's see. Hi, Comrade Dennis. Hi, MB. Glad to see a lot of familiar names. Hi, Scoob. Hi, Revo. Hi, Jacob Zacharias. Fel Fem. Real Shad. Good old fashioned Victoria and Surge. All right. I think I think we're ready to start. Okay, I think we're ready to start. Not gonna be a super long stream, guys. There's not gonna be a lot of stuff to yap about other than a few news stories. At the end we'll be laughing at some anti-tanky pearl clutching, which is always fun. It's always fun to laugh at that shit. But yes, so this is actually we're gonna start off with a soft story here. But I don't know if y'all have seen, some people in chat were talking about who is Noah Samsen, which really surprises me because bro has like what? He's like 5 times the amount of subscribers on my main channel. But if y'all do not know, Noah Samsen, this guy right here with I just love this is a screenshot from his latest video where he's talking about how Ethan Klein is suing him for calling Ethan Klein a supporter of genocide, quote unquote. And so let's watch the video. Instead of explaining who Noah Samsen is, let's just watch his video, where I'm briefly featured for like 5 seconds. But yes, there is a lawsuit going on, and I may or may not be on a little fundraising live stream for him, which is pretty exciting. So this is Noah Samsen's lawsuit where he's talking about it. Oh wait, okay, the audio capture is not working right now. Wow, it's not working this early in stream. That's gotta be a record. All right, it should be working by now, gamers.
It's official. It's happening. I am getting sued by Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein, millionaire and host of the H3 podcast, has sued me for defamation. Here's the complaint. It's 31 pages.
Isn't that wild? Bro, it's actually getting sued by Ethan Klein.
And I'm getting sued. About a year ago, I released this video, The YouTubers Who Backed the Genocide. And in response, Ethan Klein immediately began threatening to sue me. Then, a year later, just 2 days before the statute of limitations was up, Klein filed his lawsuit. In the
Bro literally camped. He camped that lawsuit. Because, I don't know if y'all remember this. Ethan Klein was literally threatening Noah Samsen with a lawsuit, a year ago. This is old news. Everyone already knew. Everyone already knew about the Ethan Klein threatening to sue him, but Noah was like, yeah, nothing's ever happened. And then Ethan literally waited 2 days before the statute of limitations to drop his little lawsuit. Bro's desperate for relevance, I fear.
In the complaint, Klein alleges that I defamed him by falsely painting him as a supporter of the genocide of Palestinians. The complaint presents 6 allegedly defamatory statements, including the title and thumbnail of
my thing's Ethan, my kid's playing dog shit. My thing is I'm confused. I'm so confused. There's a bunch of good videos out there, so I'm not gonna clip this, but this is for the live audience right now. I think the No Politic Here podcast and Bad Empanada, his live stream channel, they went through the lawsuit themselves. Actually, let me pull that up right now. They have some pretty good analysis of the complaints that are being alleged against Noah. And so let me look this up. Noah Samsen lawsuit. So No Politic Here has a deep dive. They released it about a month ago. So this is it. This is episode 19. So this is episode 19 of No Politic Here. And let's see, Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein is still a litigious Zionist who knows nothing about Palestine. And so in this episode, they just go through all the evidence. They go through all the evidence in the lawsuit. And they just laugh it off, because in the lawsuit, Ethan Klein is basically litigating the Nakba. He's like, actually, my claims about the Nakba not being that bad are actually true. He's defending double Nakba theory. So this podcast is more focusing on the historical claims and factual claims in Ethan Klein's lawsuit. Highly good, very good episode. I really, really recommend it. And then Bad Empanada, he has a more legal claim legal perspective, let's say. So this is it. So it says Ethan Klein sues Noah Samsen. This was a month ago, and he has like a 29-minute video basically digging into the complaints in the lawsuit. And the funny thing is, guys, like I just it's just like, obviously it's like a bullshit lawsuit, like saying you think someone supports a genocide is a matter of opinion. It's not a matter of fact. You can't sue someone for defamation like that. So very obviously a bullshit lawsuit. And also it gets a bunch of shit wrong. Like, yeah, let me sue this guy and like try to litigate the history of Israel Palestine in a defamation case. I'm just like, most nonsensical shit ever. But anyway, based on what I've seen, based on the legal analysis, like even the people on Ethan Klein's side are like, yeah, I don't know if this is gonna go anywhere. Lawsuit 6-7. I just don't. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. But anyway, so who is Noah Samsen? Well, let's get back to the video. Because I feature here, guys. This is the thumbnail of the video. I'm here for like 5 seconds. Where am I? I'm somewhere. Yes, there's me. There's me. It's me. Anyway, I'm gonna get back here.
My video, and it makes several claims related to statements made about Israel, Palestine, atrocity propaganda, Nakba denialism, misinformation, and more. There's a lot of stuff in this thing. It's 31 pages. For now, all I can say about the lawsuit itself is that I think Ethan's claims are meritless, and I intend to defend against them. But to do this, I need your help. A full-length defamation trial can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's wild. Like, how the American legal system is so fucked. It's like really hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend against a lawsuit. Like, good lord. Like, I still remember how like Ethan Klein having to defend against his own frivolous lawsuit against like that one guy who sued him for a reaction video. And like, didn't he raise like a couple $100,000, but like all of it was drained really, really fast? It's like, damn, the legal system's so fucked in America.
And I don't have that. So I started a GoFundMe. It's linked in the description in the pinned comment. You can also find it by searching Klein v. Samsen on
Klein v. Samsen?
the internet. I set the goal at $200,000, but any funds we raise above this goal will be donated immediately to Palestinian aid. And then
that's awesome. So yeah, I'm hopefully, well, no spoilers. I'll save that for later in the stream. But yes, definitely donate if you can,
Any money that goes unused or is recuperated once legal proceedings conclude will also be donated. Last year, around the time of Ethan's initial lawsuit threats, we did a fundraiser for
Oh, I love him sleeping here. He's so awesome.
UNRWA, an organization that provides aid to
Wait, is that his cat? His cat is just okay.
Palestinian refugees.
No, I would be worried. I would be worried if I had a cat and I were like streaming 24/7. So he did this last year too, when Ethan Klein first threatened the lawsuit, but he sent all the proceeds to, I think it was UNRWA. But what's really wild is like he did a bunch of 24/7 live streams, and like I was like, I don't know if I could stream with my cat, while I'm sleeping. Like, what if my cat jumps on the computer and like pulls up like my email or something, or like messes up the computer? Like, my cat would absolutely destroy. I'd be scared of my cat pulling stuff up on my computer that are like, my emails or something. I'd be like, oh, too paranoid for that.
And we raised over $500,000, so it would be cool if we could do something like that.
$500,000. Wow, I forgot how much the stream raised. That's wild.
Again, I'll be hosting a fundraising live stream this Friday, May 22nd.
I am not in the files, guys. I'm not in the files, okay? I just don't want y'all to dig into my business, okay? I'm a very private person, okay? Y'all don't even know my name. Hi, Spooky, where are you from? I'm from the Philippines. Actually, fun fact, speaking of my emails, wait, no, it's not my emails. I think it was Instagram DMs. Some guy in my Instagram DMs was like, hey, where are you from? Are you from Tunisia? And I'm like, no. I'm from the Philippines,
Starting at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's a marathon stream, so it will go for 4 days straight, maybe longer. We'll have lots of guests calling in to hang out, play games, or do tier lists or whatever else. So far, we've got FD Signifier, Boy, Big Joel, Denims, iDubbbz, Frogan, Elliot Sang, Chris Kunzler, Overzealot, Spooky
Yeah, that's me, guys! Yes, let's go! That's fucking me! I still haven't figured out when I'm gonna be on stream, but inshallah it will happen. But I love the screenshot because, for one, he very clearly just took a screenshot of my latest main channel video. Fed Signifier, oh my lord. I know we're in the big leagues. I'm like now in the same sentence as, who is this? FD Signifier, although, he's in a bit of a beef right now with Bad Empanada for some statements he made that are liberal Zionists, so to speak.
Signifier, Boy.
I still like their, the only thing I know them from is their They had a good video on the DPRK.
Big Joel,
Big Joel. I love that. I love the photo. Is this just Big Joel's profile picture?
Denims, iDubbbz, Frogan, Elliot Sang, Chris Kunzler, Overzealot, Spooky
Am I in the bread tube? Am I a bread tuber now? I'm with the bread tube gang. I love this.
Scary Socialist, Ahmed Sarsor, Colormind, Oli Sunvia, Cavernacle, and
Tabernacle.
more. We'll have lots of fun donation goals.
Okay, my question is, Bad and Banada was in his last stream. I wonder if Bad and Banada is going to be on here. You know, I'm very interested. And you know, I will say, some of these creators are not bread tube coded. You know, like Overzealous and Chris, they have a very good podcast. FedTube. Oh my gosh, guys, I sold out. I am now a libertarian. I now make enough on Patreon that I am now abandoning all my principles. I am now a libertarian, and I am now. I will now make a video once a year. Although, let's be so honest here, guys. Like, my main channel, I barely get any real videos out. Like, I'm so sorry. That's the nature of animation. That shit's just so fucking hard. So hard to shit a video out.
Oli Sunvia.
Dude, can you turn off ads by any chance? I think ads should be off. They're manual, so I have to manually turn on ads, and I don't. They should be off, weirdly enough. So I don't know what's going on there.
Cavernacle, and more. We'll have lots of fun donation goals. You may get to see me chug a gallon of milk, take a pie to the face, wax my
Get a pie to the face, wax legs. Wow.
my legs, cosplay your favorite
Destiny.
influencer, do the hot chip challenge, run a marathon, and more. We'll have the wheel going
Running a marathon is wild. I don't know if I can do that.
as well, like we did during the last fundraiser. And for the grand finale, if we hit $500,000, I will ride a bike 120 miles from San Diego to Hassan Piker's house.
This is for one. Isn't this a bit dangerous? Is he gonna have to bike on the highway? I'm a little confused here. Like, is he unironically gonna bike from San Diego to LA?
To beg him for more money. Klein v. Samsen, GoFundMe, link in bio. Donate to help defend free speech on YouTube, and send money to Palestinian aid as well while we do it. Thanks for watching. See you on Friday.
Bye.
Cool if we could.
Thank you, Noah. Very cool. But yeah, so I've mentioned this before on stream, and I've mentioned it on clips before. But like, what I really appreciate about Noah is, like, one, he was one of those generic bread tuber types, those generic, you know, video essayist bread tuber types, where he would do like he would do reaction videos, kinda reaction / commentary videos on like TikTok drama. So he would, you know, talk about like, oh, you know, look, these TikTokers wasting food for views, look at these TikTok sexists, you know, TikTok has a misogyny problem, talking about all this stuff. And eventually, after October 7th and the genocide in Gaza started, like, he just completely shifted gears from being a generic breadtube guy to like covering the genocide in Gaza, which, you know, highly, you know, major respect. You know, like, he is unironically one of the good breadtubers, right? Like, he didn't just ignore the genocide; he actually like actively transformed his YouTube channel to talk about the issue. So I have a lot of respect for him, and also I have a lot of respect for him because he helped save my channel from getting getting zucked. When the second channel got zucked, this one you're on right now, got zucked, he tweeted out, and he helped me get reinstated. So, you know, I'm very thankful to to Noah here. What I will say, by the way, guys, is someone said to hop on stream. We need a video about the PFLP. Potentially. My thing, seesaw shock is like, the PFLP already has a good video series on it by Best D Marks. Let's see, Best D Marks already has a good video series on it. So he's doing Lenin right now, but I think he has a few good videos. Yes, he has like a short history of the PFLP, pretty good video. And then I think like it's part of his general series. My thing is, I think Best D Marks already did a good job. For me, you know, I mentioned this earlier in chat, but like, my next video is likely going to be Hezbollah on the Party of God in Lebanon. And so I was stuck between East Germany or Hezbollah, and for me, I think covering Lebanon is so much more important now because it's like an actual issue that's continuing to happen right now. Like, Israel is occupying southern Lebanon, it's expanding its settler colonial reach, and you know, I think the time constraints push me to cover Lebanon more than East Germany. Like, because with an East Germany video, I can just do that whenever. You know, like there's no like time crunch to try to get an East Germany video out. You know, it'll always be an evergreen video. But with Hezbollah, I think, you know, it's especially relevant now and especially important to, I think, demystify it using, you know, obviously obviously, you know, I'll be talking about Hezbollah in accordance with YouTube community guidelines. I'll be talking about it in accordance with YouTube community guidelines, only talking about, you know, in an educational way, talking about the latest academic consensus. And in a way that does not violate YouTube's rules. I don't want to get zucked again, guys. You know, I am a bit nervous. I am a bit nervous about getting zucked again. But you know what? If the freedom fighters in Lebanon who are fighting off an illegal occupation by Israel are willing to take, you know, are willing to have that bravery and courage, I think that's the least bit you should expect YouTubers to do, you know? Hot take, One Piece isn't even that good. It's okay. I like One Piece. I mean, if y'all have seen some of my main channel videos, I like One Piece. I'm actually all caught up on the manga. I caught up like what, a month-ish ago. But I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. It does get pretty repetitive. Like the arcs get pretty repetitive, and also like everyone knows this, but like Oda, the artist and mangaka for One Piece, bro draws woman like a cartoon. I don't know if y'all have seen the memes of One Piece women and how they're drawn, but like they're all drawn the exact same, and they all have like comically distorted figures. Like let me try to find it. Let's see. They're all drawn. Like it's weird because like he writes them really well, but like they're all drawn the same. Like they're all drawn the same. They have the same face. And then not only that, their bodies too all have like cartoon ass proportions. Let me look this up. One Piece women proportions. Let's see, where is this? I'm trying to find it. There's like good comparisons out there. Okay, here might be a good one. How One Piece women are drawn. They all have like comically like distorted proportions. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. But anyway, someone earlier in chat said pop into Noah Samsen's stream. So I am going to look at what is going on there.
Because if you think that allows you to do that,
oh my god, no way. No way. Bad Empanada and FD Signify. They're debating in stream? What is even going on? Holy what? I did not expect this, guys. Bad Empanada and FD Signifier are fighting in stream. What?
N-word right now on cam.
What? What? FD Signifier told Bad Empanada to call him the N-word? What is even? This is what?
If you do it all the time. If you don't think there's a difference, if you
Who
don't
said I
think
use
it
the N-word all the time?
No.
All the time.
No,
I said I
why
respond to
won't you
these
call
things in the way that you say I should all the time.
Why won't you call me a nigger right now?
Because how is that relevant to it? Why would I call you that?
It
what
shows
is this
that you
relevant to what we're
understand the
saying at all?
difference, Mr. Empanada.
I explained the difference.
No.
This term is of direct relation to his behavior.
What's going on? There's a debate right now between FD Signifier and Bad Empanada. I love how Noah's just like quiet in the corner. You know, I wanted to see this debate for a while because they've been having a back and forth. You know?
Yeah.
No, let me say the difference. You
In
know what you can get away with?
Defending Jewish supremacy. Do you understand the difference? He is defending Jewish supremacy.
You could have
so
said
I respond to him by saying like, "Oh,
Bad
great
Empanada.
fucking job! You're doing great work on behalf of the supposedly marginalized Jewish community."
Bad Empanada. You could have said in this tweet, "BGR is defending Jewish supremacy by such and such and such." You could have done that. That wouldn't have went off.
Guys, I am obsessed with this. I am obsessed with. I did not expect this debate. I thought, like, I remember they were doing like some sort of tier list. I like hopped on stream earlier and they were doing some sort of tier list, which is interesting. Let me see. Okay, so we hopped on like 20 minutes ago and now they've been furiously debating. I gotta watch the VOD for this. I just want to turn this stream into a watch party.
From the fucking app.
But I will watch maybe like another minute of this before we get back to the regularly scheduled programming. I will probably get back and watch this.
Algorithm. So instead,
Everyone
you made a
what
hilarious.
do you mean in the algorithm?
But then why did you? It's funny to you. You could have avoided that language, and you chose not to because you're unprincipled. Because you care more about the attention
Have you ever
economy.
called anyone a dumbass? Have you ever called anyone an idiot? Have you ever used a mean word against anyone?
Those words are not intrinsically tied to Nazis or slavery.
Zog slave isn't intrinsically tied to Nazism either. It came like 40 years. Zog slave, I don't even think they ever used that term. They just use the term Zog.
It came from the
This came like
German
40 years after.
Yeah,
Okay, so they're fighting over this term Zog slave. Apparently, he's being held hostage.
it literally came from Nazis.
Second thing, why are you so obsessed with Nazis? Why are you always talking about the Nazis under the bed? There's
You
always
use
been
their
much
terms,
more
not
talk.
me.
No, there's always been much more talk of
You thought
Nazis
this was
in
gonna
your
be easy,
content
didn't you, Mr.
than Zionism. This is
Okay, so since this has turned into a debate watch party, I'm just gonna drop in the poll while I'm playing this. Who you guys side with? Who's correct here? So they're currently arguing about the term Zog slave. So I'm gonna drop a poll as we let the debate play a little bit more.
extremely easy. Like you're not even dealing with the actual issue.
I'm not getting owned. I'm not getting owned. I'm not getting owned.
The issue was never and that's the thing.
You want to talk
couldn't-
about the actual issue? The issue was
No.
that
That's the
first
thing.
issue from
You couldn't
first- from the
actually
first part.
material critique things I was saying.
I materially critiqued you completely.
You
I
had to-
responded to
you
you on
had
Jewish
to make a-
supremacy.
Some of y'all, who are these guys? I feel bad for some of the people who hopped on stream. They're just like, what is even going on for people who are not chronically online?
You had to find, and it was so funny, and I regret it all. Despite the fact that I've been able to expose you in the moment, I regret it
How
all.
have you exposed any? Okay, let's talk
Because
about
I'm exposing the
what I
I'm
responded to
exposing
you
the
on.
logic you operate with. Because your defense for your behavior is that you should be able to behave. This and what's funny is that although I disagree with a lot of what Lil Bill said in that video,
You're
the
just
whole
straight up
point-
fucking lying about what I'm
Let
saying.
him finish,
No,
let him
you
finish.
shut the fuck up.
Let
You
me
let
finish.
me talk because you're lying. You're
No,
mischaracterizing
I'm gonna mute
what I
him.
say.
Hold on. How
This
do I
is
mute?
what you do.
How do I mute?
You don't fucking.
Okay, FD, he's muted. Go ahead.
I'm not
The-
muted.
What is this? This is so funny. Oh my god.
irony. The irony is that the inception of this was.
Let me actually say my argument. Let me.
Give me your argument for
Okay,
your
okay,
right
okay.
to use.
You are
offensive,
ignoring the
racially
first part
charged.
of what I said. You
Mhm.
ignored the first part of what I said to focus on how I said. I said first thing, it's funny. That's obviously a minor point, right? That's not the main thing.
Mhm.
Okay. I said a bunch of stuff before that, didn't I? Did you respond to the stuff?
Okay, I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna watch all this. I'll probably go back and watch the VOD. I'm not picking sides today. I have no clue what the context is. I agree. I got onto this like literally like what, a few seconds ago. So I missed like 20 minutes of conversation. But anyway, I'm going to end the poll here. So it seems like 85% of people think Bat Empanada is winning the debate. 75 votes. Very interesting. This is so wild. Where's the stream? It's on the Noah Samsen YouTube channel. It's on his YouTube, so just look up Noah Samsen. You can watch it. I will be going back and seeing the VOD, guys. I'll probably be two timesing the speed because I don't want to watch all of this in one time speed. You know, our context is out of context. Exactly. But anyway, that's enough of Noah Samsen. That was such an amazing side tangent. I'm so excited to see the full debate, guys. You know, I'm so excited to see the full debate and like 2 times speed it. You know, it seems to have very quickly degraded into a yelling match. Anyway, so let me get back. So that's Noah Samsen. So I honestly, in my personal opinion, I think Noah is probably gonna be okay. Maybe, I don't know, because like California has these anti-slap laws, which basically defend against frivolous lawsuits, and so I think like it's pretty easy to file an anti-slap motion to prevent a frivolous lawsuit. So let's see. California has strong anti-slap laws to challenge a slap suit in California. Defendants must show they are being sued for any act in furtherance of the person's right to petition or free speech under the U.S. Constitution or California Constitution. Under the statute, the rights of free speech or petition include 4 categories of activities, blah, blah, blah. And then what's really cool about the anti-slap laws is if you successfully dismiss a lawsuit, the person who sued you has to pay. The person who sued you has to pay. So inshallah, you know, all the money goes to Palestine and none of the money actually goes to a lawsuit. So slap law is a stupid name for a law. I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of catchy, guys. It's kind of catchy. Both are mid, but I don't lean near FD in the slightest. Could you stream more often? I stream once a week. What are you talking about, Ela bitch? Okay. I'm sorry for butchering your name. Wait, what's happening with Noah Samsen? Bro is getting sued by Ethan Klein. And so he's currently on a live stream right now, and he's hosting a debate between Bad Empanada and FD Signifier, which is that's a fun thing to watch. But yes, I am going to pause real quick just to talk to chat. I guys, I'm so honest. I am really tempted to watch the debate. Should this stream just be a debate watch party? Spooky, when is it your turn for the stream? I don't know. I was announced on the guest list, but Noah has not gone back to me, so I don't know if when it'll be. But I think I told Noah I'm free Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday. So I will be I will probably be on his stream in a few days, potential. He hasn't gone back to me yet, so no promises. Debate watch, please. I will watch a few more minutes because I am obsessed with this. I am obsessed. I'm just gonna skip to the present. I'm just gonna skip this.
Stuff that I said before that, which was the main point. Pretending you believe.
The perspective you bring to the table. But you center yourself in your desire to be an edgy boy and make really funny jokes and refuse to acknowledge the standards, refusing to acknowledge just caring about your comrades, the people in the space with you, the greater audience watching, and the history of what it means to be called a slave as a Black man, the history of where the term Zog comes from. You could easily just came on stream and said, you know what? Probably shouldn't have said that. Real talk. That was probably a distraction. And then we could have been on to things that are way more meaningful. But you've dug your heels in for your right to use offensive language. You are Vosh. You are the new Vosh. It's so fucking funny how
Your
full
politics
circle
are the
this
same
is.
as Vosh. Your
You are
politics are
Vosh,
functionally
but
the
your
exact same
tactics
as
are the
Vosh.
same as Vosh, and that's even more pathetic.
Oh my god. Everyone's calling each other Vosh. Vosh is the new liberal. Everyone's like, you are Vosh, you are Vosh. You know, everyone, this is so funny. This is so fun. Everyone's calling each other Vosh. You know what? Maybe that's too brain rotted even for my stream. Oh man, just two people calling each other Vosh. Like, you're Vosh. No, you're Vosh. You know, I will say, if you are not a lolly fan, I think you should be able to avoid being named Vosh, you know? Like, I think you should only be called a Vosh if you are into horses or into lolly. Let's say that, lollipops. So I'm gonna tune into that later by myself. But we are Vosh. We carry the flame for real. Bad like I can't get over both FD Signifier and Bad Empanada being like, you're Vosh, no, you're Vosh, no, you're Vosh. Oh my god. Oh, this is beautiful. It's so beautiful. Anyway, I am gonna log back into the stream and talk about a news story that I find pretty funny. So I don't know if y'all remember this, and I saw this pop up on the news, you know, the news as it does, right? But like, Michael Bay is apparently directing a film about the ongoing war in Iran. So if y'all remember, like, in the first 4 weeks of the war, there was this hostage like rescue operation that happened when Iran shot down like an American plane. Like, for me, I didn't really care all that much. I'm just like, okay, I don't really care. This is like like, I did gap about an American pilot that got shot down bombing another country, you know? Like, I tuned it out. But apparently, like, some people found it so compelling that there is now going to be a Michael Bay directed film about it. Which is awesome. So this is a Variety article. It says Michael Bay to direct Operation Epic Fury rescue film about 2 pilots recovered from Iran. So first of all, I will say, you know, isn't that like record-breaking pace for the shoot and cry genre? like how many, like, it's a stereotype that there are like a bajillion American films talking about how American soldiers went to another country, invaded them, destroyed their infrastructure, killed a bunch of civilians, and then they went home and cried about it. You know, like, actually, guys, American soldiers feel really, really bad about having to kill brown people in the global south. Like, it really hurts their fifis. Guys, have you ever considered the fifis of American soldiers who had to kill brown people and were traumatized by it. You know, PTSD is you shouldn't joke about PTSD from killing random innocent people. But, you know, this has got to be record-breaking pace because the war on Iran is still ongoing. And I'm just like, wow, that was fast. So, this is Michael Bay. I'm like, wow, like, I have not seen a photo of Michael Bay in a long time. I'm like, dude, what happened to him? You know, like, maybe the explosions got to him or something in his action movies, but, like, he has not aged that well. I don't know, like, has he been Trumpified? Michael Bay has been Trumpified. He has, like, the wig-looking blonde hair. Oh man, no. But anyway, let's go to the article. Let's go to the article and see this latest action film, directed by Michael Bay. Let's see. Can I zoom out a little bit here? Michael Bay is working on a new film about a major military operation. I love that they're doing the Russia thing. You know how, like, Russia calls the invasion of Ukraine a special military operation? It's like the same way the United States is calling the war in Iran a special military operation so they can avoid all the legalistic stuff that happens when you call it a war. and now they're doing the same exact thing. I'm just like, wow. You know, I think it's a war, guys. I don't think it's a major military operation. Bay, who previously directed the 2016 military drama 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. What about her emails, guys? Is working with Universal Pictures to direct a film about 2 pilots who were rescued from Iran during Operation Epic Fury this year, Variety has confirmed. This sucks. This fucking sucks so much. Who asked for this? Did anyone give a fuck about the rescue mission for those 2 pilots? Like, I barely even remember that because I literally did not give a fuck at all. It's like, oh my god, wow, 2 pilots got shot down over Iranian airspace while they were trying to bomb a girls' school. Wow, crazy. I totally care about them, guys. You know, I definitely didn't just tune it out. Operation Epic Fury is a military action. I love that. Military action, not a war. It's a military action, guys. You know, we're doing the 1984 shit. There's a military action against Iran that President Trump approved starting in February 2026. It's a war. It's an illegal war of aggression against a country, against a sovereign country, of which the starting salvo was double tapping a girls' school. You know, that's not a military action. That's a war crime. You know? Let's see. In April, a rescue mission took place to save 2 pilots from a downed U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle. That's my thing as well. It's like Iran shot down these people, and it's like so funny. It's so funny, you know. I'm like, I can't even pretend to gaff about them. I'm like, oh wow, these soldiers in a war of aggression got shot down in the airspace of a country that they were attacking, you know, unprovoked. May I add? Boohoo. Bay will be working with writer Scott Gardenauer and producer Erwin Stoff, both of whom collaborated with him on 13 Hours. They'll produce the film, blah, blah, blah. And this is wild to me, too. They're making this into a book. Like, the fucking rescue mission of these, like, fail pilots. Keep in mind, this is a failure. These guys got shot down by a country that they claim that they completely destroyed the Air Force and Navy of. You know, like, these 2 failures can't even do their imperialism right. They got fucking shot down in the air. Now they're getting a whole book about them. They're getting a Michael Bay film about them. I'm like, damn. You know, it's just like how like what Donald Trump called John McCain. He was like, you know, at least I wouldn't have gotten shot down. You know, like, what happened to that energy? Now we're just dick sucking the failures of, like, the fail sons of American imperialism. It's awesome. You know. Let's see. Bay has a long history collaborating with the US military to add realism to films like his Transformer series, Pearl Harbor, and 13 Hours. After the rescue, Trump reacted with an enthusiastic post on Truth Social, writing, "We got him, my fellow Americans! Over the past several hours, the US military pulled one of the most daring search and rescue operations in US history for one of our incredible crew member officers, who also happens to be a highly respected colonel, who I'm thrilled to let you know is safe and sound." What I will say about this Truth Social post is, like, do you guys remember that news story where, like, Donald Trump literally just had to be, like, he wasn't fed any intelligence about the rescue mission because people didn't trust him not to immediately leak it and tweet it out on Truth Social? Like, bro wasn't even in the operation room. Like, he was kept away like a little child because, like, people didn't trust him with intelligence enough, and then he was only told after the rescue was successful. So bro is literally LARPing. Bro is LARPing like he actually did anything, you know? He's like the He's like that one student who does nothing in a group project, and then when the group project does really well, he's like, "Good work, team." It's like, bro, you did nothing. You got the fucking participation grade. You got the participation marks, and that's it, man. Fuck off. You know, and the participation, by the way, the participation was in like bombing a girls' school. Like, congrats. Let's see. Deadline first reported the news. Okay, so I think that's the end. That's the end of that story. But I'm just like, this, who asked for this, okay? Like, is this one of those things, like the Melania documentary, where, like, this movie is just like a bribe, like an underhanded bribe to the Trump family? Like, who asked for a Michael Bay, Iran War movie? Like, who gaff about this? Does anyone gaff? You know? Like, if anything, I would be cheering for the other side. You know? Like, the side that's, you know, been illegally had a war of aggression waged on it. Like, good lord, shut up and give us the Bad and Banana stream. You know, damn how Rex, you can just go to the stream yourself. You know? You can just go. You don't need me to watch the stream. Although I do want to see how it's going. Let me see. Let me see how the debate stream is going. Are they still debating? Let me see, gamers. Okay, it looks like they're still debating. Let's see what chat is saying. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Why is Vosh in the thumbnail? But anyway, I am going to fix up my screen and talk a little bit more about the Michael Bay film. The Michael Bay film, which is awesome, may I add. This is awesome. So if y'all don't know, Hollywood has basically like long teamed up with the US military industrial complex to produce films that are, you know, basically propaganda for the American war machine. This has been like an open thing for a long time, that US and Hollywood are pretty much in bed with one another. And so I'm going to pull up this old article here talking about, you know, the propaganda, the propaganda partnership between the US and the Hollywood cinematic industry. So let's hear this. The long, twisty affair between the US military and Hollywood. For the Pentagon, films like Top Gun Maverick are more than just a movie. And so the article begins by talking about how in 1986, Top Gun basically had a huge spike in recruitment for the US military. But for the Navy, Top Gun was more than just a movie. It was a recruitment bonanza. And so literally, you know, in these movies that, you know, Hollywood produces, they literally set up military recruiting stations right outside the theater, and like they get people who are like, you know, they watch the movie and they're like, "Oh my god, guys, war sounds so cool, American imperialism sounds so cool," you know, like little larpers. Where like, war is just like a video game, you know. War, like, I love war because like I love seeing the soldiers march out to their deaths to the tune of Little Dark Age. You know, it's like they just imagine that American imperialism is like aura farming to Little Dark Age, blasting on loudspeakers as they're like attacking quote unquote threats to American democracy, as if they themselves are not the threats. But anyway, let's see. Others enlisted on their own. Interest in the armed forces, primarily the Navy and Air Force, rose that year, though it's unclear just how much. What I will say, right, is first of all, right, if you fall for the propaganda of a Hollywood movie like Top Gun, like if you watch a propaganda movie that's very clearly trying to lionize American imperialism, like like how much of a sheep are you? You know, it's like, yes, you know, we're all immune to propaganda, but this is a new low. It's like, imagine watching Top Gun, or imagine watching like Transformers and being like, you know what, I want to join the US military and kill brown people. It's like, bro, you are a sheep. You are a fucking sheep. How do you watch that shit? It's so embarrassing. Hollywood knows how to sell the life of a soldier. Top Gun paints the life of an elite pilot as mostly a real-life video game, with young men competing to top the charts at the Academy. The rankings were a fiction invented for the film, although the school is real. This is awesome. Like, they're literally trying to gamify American imperialism. You know, it's just a video games, guys. You know, it's just like Little Dark Age, okay? You're literally the Roman Empire. You're literally the Roman Empire, guys. It's a Little Dark Age edit. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm gonna skip over this. So I was gonna talk a little bit more about the general partnership between the Pentagon and Hollywood. So it says, the American movie industry and the American military have had a long, well-documented, and on the whole, mutually beneficial relationship since before World War II. And so the big thing is that, you know, for Hollywood producers and filmmakers who want to make a film about the US military, right? They can save a shit ton of money and get the government to basically review the script for accuracy if they partner with the US military. So millions of dollars can be shaved off a film's budget if the military agrees to lend its equipment and assistance, and all a producer has to do is to get that assistance is submit 5 copies of the script to the Pentagon for approval, make whatever script changes the Pentagon suggests, film the script exactly as approved by the Pentagon, and pre-screen the finished product for Pentagon officials before it's shown to the public. So in exchange for getting their script checked for accuracy and getting like a couple of military equipment used in their films, like they can they can basically make US military propaganda, which is awesome. Which is awesome. Yes, someone says accuracy. Mark Krause says quote unquote accuracy. That's the other thing as well. You know, like a lot of the notes that they suggest is basically to make it more palatable for US service people. So let me see. There was a quote here. Here it is, yes. That said, the trade-offs can be high. Frequently notes are returned to filmmakers, asking them to change plot points in a way that make the film more palatable to the military, and specifically to the liaison who's working with the production. That's the thing as well, it's like, a lot of these films, they literally get millions of dollars, basically, from the US military, and like, they basically produce US military propaganda. And that wouldn't surprise me at all if the exact same thing is happening with the Michael Bay shit. I mean, it quite literally is a propaganda film. Like, they are literally propagandizing for a war that started with a double tap on a girls' school. You know, like, this is the most barbaric war in, like, recent American history. Well, actually, every war, the barbaric war in recent American history, every war is fucking horrific or terrible. You know, that's being waged in the name of American imperialism. So, let me scratch that. Let me scratch that quote, guys. I made a post where I tagged you. Please check your YouTube notifications. Girl, I'm on stream right now. I'll check those later. I'll check that later. I'll see if I have enough free time at the end of the stream. But anyway, and like, what's wild about this propaganda film too is like the war is literally gonna resume, very likely. You know, like I don't know if y'all have seen, but there's been a quote unquote ceasefire for the last few weeks, and like it's not looking good for the United States. The United States is basically trying to do a double blockade, which is wild. We're blockading the blockade. And like Iran is basically, it's able to tell that yeah, the United States wants to resume bombing the country. And if the war does resume, shit's going to get real bad real fast. Like we are going to have some very extensive damage to infrastructure in the Middle East that, you know, may or may not be repairable for decades, if at all. You know, so this is just awesome. Like, I can't wait for this film to age terribly, guys. Like, this film is gonna age terribly. Like, the war in Iran is already one of the most unpopular shit, like one of the most unpopular wars in recent American memory. But like, once this war ends in complete failure for the Trump regime, it's just this is gonna age so badly. It's like making a film about like what, the Vietnam War. Although let's be so real here, guys, there's like bajillion war films about the Vietnam War. You know, the Hollywood industry, the shoot and cry Hollywood industry film, war film, is not gonna go anywhere. Like it's gonna continue. You know, even with the war being a complete fucking disaster. Let's see. At least Iranians have cheap oil to sell in their country. I don't know. I mean, shit in Iran is getting pretty bad with the war. Let's see. Triumph of the Will. We released in 1945. Bad Empanada just lied that FD said that calling someone a Zionist is a Nazi dog whistle. Oh my. Guys, you're tempting me. Should we do a debate watch party? You know what? I'm going to do a quick pause here. Should we do a quick 10-minute break to watch the debate? Should we take a 10-minute break to watch the debate between BE and FD? Yes? No. So I'm going to drop that in chat. And I'm going to do a little break between segments while that's going. Yes, no. My thing is, not everyone knows who Bad Empanada and FD Signifier are, guys. Like, I think there's a loud voice of people who know the drama, who are chronically online. Is the grass green? Question. The thing about dog whistles that they're innocuous and have double meanings. Watching the bait more tempting than hitting the vape. No, guys, I will say though, as much as silly as I am being right now, I am really tempted to watch this too. You know, I am just as chronically online as all of you who want to watch this debate. Oh, No idea what the drama is. Help. Okay, so the drama is Bad Empanada is beefing with FD Signifier. It's not a debate, it's just people yapping. Well, there was yelling. They were definitely yelling. do it. We're all chronically online. Okay, I will watch it and see if there's anything funny or interesting going on right now. So let me pull up the debate right now. Let's see, Noah Samsen. I Noah is wild for this. Noah's. Oh wait, is it over? No, it's still going. It's still going. Okay, let me. Oh wow, it's still going, guys. They're still fighting. The girls are fighting. I love this. I love Noah in the corner. He's just like vibing, just like me now. I am now a react. I'm reacting to the reaction of the debate.
Videos to you that you think was that.
Noah, I'm going to donate some money. And
here's the thing, okay? You do this to me. You do what you're saying to me. You lie about.
Holy what?
Well, I'm really. I don't know if I should say sorry or.
No, you know what?
Bad Banana just got kicked from the stream. Holy moly!
That was satisfying, and I think a lot of people will get satisfaction from that. Not, I hate that it had to happen, but it is what it is. I'm gonna please. I'll do the propaganda thing some other time. Peace and blessings to the chat.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Okay, FD left. Holy moly, guys. FD left. Oh my god, what is going on? So let me see what chat is saying. Now I have two chats. I have the chat on Noah's stream. Let's see. Bad Empanada W, that was crazy. 111 222. What is this saying? Bad Empanada's child.
All right. Well,
Noah looks so done. It's so awkward. He's like, what?
It just seemed like that got to a point where it wasn't going to be very productive. So make sure to donate. Links in the description.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna scroll back to like 1 day before, or 1 minute before.
To entertain an audience, that it does not contribute meaningfully to any type of true material change in the world, and that anybody that's telling you that they are is a liar. And anybody that positions themselves as some type of vanguard figure in their content is a grifter.
I don't think I said that last part at all.
Okay.
I do agree with what you're saying there. Obviously, I said that.
So
right. That I don't think this is nearly as important as many people think it is does not mean that I don't believe in what I'm saying. Does not mean
I'm not saying you don't believe in what you're saying.
Yeah, but you're implying that I'm doing it for money, right? To entertain. Like, I say the things that I say because I do believe in them, and people happen to find that entertaining or they happen to find it insightful. That's fucking great, right? Like, I don't make videos seeking an audience. I make videos based, on my main channel. I make videos on whatever's interesting to me.
This is why I also wanted to watch the debate later. I could 2x speed this.
In the moment, right now, I'm making a video about the Bosnian war. It's gonna get like 20,000 views. No one's gonna fucking watch it because that's just what I want to talk about.
But you can supplement it with drama slop on Bad and Not Alive.
What do you think of the videos that you're talking about you at drama slop? Because I was responding to you.
So first off, the first thing I pointed out was that you clipped an out of context conversation. That where nothing of what I said in that moment made much sense at all. And labeled it as the short that has 71,000 views. That's like the most viewed short you posted.
Well, yeah, you said Zionist is a Nazi dog.
Did I? He didn't say that.
That's what he said. No, we watched the clip. That's what he said.
We watched that live.
2x speed is so funny. I love this. There.
You label it as such. You applied as such, but I did not say that.
Then what did you say in that clip?
No. How about Bad Empanada? How about say, oops, my bad, I'm sorry? How about saying?
That's what you said. You said.
No,
it's not what he said. It's not what he said.
I've been yelling at my kids. I've been ignoring my kids. I've been ignoring my wife, and I've been here for 2.5 hours. If you cannot just objectively own up to the fact that you clipped something out of context and labeled it with quotes,
is that short the only thing you have a problem with? Because that short is from after you posted that comment and started complaining about it.
You're changing the subject now.
Okay, so they're debating a short, which is like, okay, first of all, is a short I don't know, guys.
This just sounds like you're looking for a roundabout way to get.
Like, I've never heard of this short. I've never seen this. Also, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if this is.
Like, to get around actually responding to my substantive criticisms of you, because I made 30-minute long video responding to you and others. It wasn't just you; it was other people as well. On Jewish supremacy, and then on you spreading out like the anti-Semitism crisis narrative.
If I know your standard is to purposefully.
This is the thing. You're just insisting that you don't have to respond to me because you can apparently discount what I have to say because you just know that this is what I'm like. Bullshit, dude.
This is just true. I don't know if I will say I think Bad Empanada is more educated on topics of like anti-imperialism and all that. But I will say he does go too far sometimes on on Twitter and online. Like, I don't know if y'all have ever seen his tweets, but he is very deeply he has a Twitter presence that is deeply, deeply unhinged. You know? So I will say probably in the substance, Bad Empanada is right like 90-80% of the time, right? But in terms of the way he goes about like antagonizing people, I think he is usually in the wrong. Like his Twitter channel, his Twitter page gets banned like what, once every 2 weeks because he's like calling for someone's death. You know? So I will have to go back and watch this by myself and give my full take on the Bad Empanada FD signifier stream, because I am just as interested as you guys, you know? But you know, it doesn't surprise me that Bad Empanada's very abrasive online presence has gotten people very mad at him. But I will also say, on the substance, generally he tends to be better than other creators on the substance. Maybe not the form, but on the substance. Thank you for turning that off. I will say 80% of people wanted to watch that. I'm so surprised. Noah kept muting Bad, so maybe Bad Empanada was just a bit too. Maybe he kept interrupting the conversation or something. I'm a bit interested. Hi, P-Mayor. Welcome to the stream. We were just watching a drama slop debate. It was rough. I'm so excited to watch this, guys. It's just like the when Black Red Guard and Bad Empanada had that debate. I loved that. I loved seeing that debate. It was fun. Although I will say Bad Empanada pretty, you know, he kind of dog walked Black Red Guard in that one. I don't know about this one though. It seems like a lot of people are coming out of that debate feeling a bit messy. Nebula IDF, the Nebula Defense Force. But Empanada is really funny at times. He talks like Mickey Mouse sometimes when he's laughing. When are you going on the stream? I will be, yes. I mentioned that earlier in the stream, but I was announced as someone who's coming on. So I will probably be on there, inshallah. Noah still hasn't gone back to me about the exact time, but hopefully he'll get back to me soon. But I am going to talk. Ignore Fed signifier. I'm going to talk a little bit about this next story right now, which is John Fetterman's scheming vizier. This is so funny to me, guys. Like, seeing John Fetterman's complete downfall has been awesome. You know? And so I don't know if y'all are aware of the scheming vizier meme, but it's like, you know, like you have the glass-eyed caliph, right? Who is very gullible and very, very easily tricked. And then you have his scheming vizier who's like whispering into his ear, whispering things into his ear so he falls victim to his hypnosis. And so John Fetterman, weirdly enough, has a scheming vizier, which I did not anticipate. And so there was this article that dropped in The Intelligencer. It says, "The man who explains Israel to John Fetterman, how a little-known writer became one of the senator's closest confidants." And so this is the guy. This is a photo of both of them together. This is John Fetterman and his his handler. John Fetterman and his new Israeli handler. Let's see. So what does that say? I can't read his name. David Safer. I love both of them together. Like, John Fetterman looks unironically really happy. Like, the one time he looks happy and not completely fucking miserable. So David Dovey Safier shared the selfie with John Fetterman on social media, expressing his gratitude for the senator. So let's hop on and see what is going on with John Fetterman, our favorite demon rat Zionist senator. And then there's John Fetterman. So these are going to be excerpts from the article that I found the most interesting. So it says, and then there's John Fetterman. While the rest of his party reluctantly retreats from an ironclad allyship with Israel, the Pennsylvania senator has promised to be the last Democrat standing with Israel. His political identity is increasingly defined by a blanket defense of the country. Online, Fetterman frequently mocks critics of Israel. In interviews, he has pushed back on claims that Israel's actions in Gaza can constitute a genocide. I love that. I love that he's still doing genocide denial. Like, who buys this? Like, every single international body that is an expert on genocide scholars, they all agree that the genocide in Gaza is a genocide. You know, like, it's pretty uncontroversial among, like, the actual experts on the issue. When pro-Palestine protesters came to his home, Fetterman waved an Israeli flag from his roof. Asked on Meet the Press about Israel's pager attacks in Lebanon, which wounded more than 3,000 and killed 12, the senator said, "I love it." God, what a freak. This guy's such a freak. By the way, fun fact, he actually went to Israel and he got a silver pager from Netanyahu to celebrate that attack. It's like, wow, what a freak. Imperialist lapdog, for real. On May 19th, Fetterman was the only Democratic senator to vote against a war powers resolution intended to stymie the US-Israel war against Iran. President Trump has been willing to do what's right and necessary to produce real peace in the region. Real peace? Girl, I know you had a stroke, but you do realize, like, Donald Trump single-handedly started this war of aggression, right? Like, what a fucking bootlicker. God bless the United States, our military, and Israel, Fetterman added, as if these elements constitute some kind of geopolitical holy trinity. Like, what the heck is this brain rot? God bless the United States, our great military, and Israel. The holy trinity of Zionism. What? Oh, like, I love how much his brain has melted. That's why I love having him be a little punching bag on the main channel. You know, he's very funny. Let's see. So this is his scheming vizier that just popped out of nowhere, guys. Like, I highlighted this part. He kind of just appeared out of nowhere. It's like, what the fuck? This guy, like, his little advisor or handler literally just popped out. So Safir, a writer of Jewish history and fundraiser for Orthodox causes, has no public background in government or counseling politicians on Capitol Hill. He is not an official staffer or paid outside advisor. A few years ago, he just kind of appeared in the senator's orbit, one staffer remembers, and then suddenly he seemed to be everywhere. Staffers would walk into Fetterman's office only to find Safir sitting in the room. When the senator went to Israel in 2025, he joined him on the trip. When Fetterman filmed Real Time with Bill Mayer, Safir met up with him in LA. The two are constantly texting and talking. Oh my god, they're besties now. He's literally besties with his little with his little scheming vizier whispering into his like glass-eyed face. His eyes glaze over. Like whenever Fetterman sees like the horrific photos in Gaza and he like gains a little bit of humanity, his little vizier whispers on his shoulder, and he's like, no, it's okay, it's not a genocide. And then his eyes glass back over. Like it's literally like one of those fucking memes and shit. The two are constantly texting and talking, according to multiple staffers, and Safir has unofficially operated as a top campaign fundraiser and senior advisor. He's even set up and attended sensitive meetings with foreign officials. In some cases, he's the only person staffing those meetings, I've been told. This is wild. Like, this guy literally popped out of nowhere. He did not respond to repeated requests for comment in his few public interviews, mostly podcasts focused on Jewish life. He has said that he grew up on Long Island in an Orthodox community. This is amazing. As a young man, he relocated to a settlement in East Jerusalem, which is illegally occupied by Israel according to the International Court of Justice, and studied the Talmud at Mir Yeshiva, the largest yeshiva in the world. Bro is literally a illegal Jerusalem settler. Like, what the fuck? This guy's literally an illegal settler, and he has the ears of, like, a senator who obviously has brain damage. Like, this guy's controlling American foreign policy. This background explains Safir's current public persona, an American Jewish writer who has come back from and often returns to the Holy Land. His work mostly appears in Orthodox magazine, blah blah blah. Okay, this is wild. I'm gonna pull up the clips of this later, but this is beautiful. Multiple former staffers told me they did not personally like Safir. In their interactions, he was often chatty and jovial. They describe him as friendly, if awkward, wholesome and funny with a childlike energy. Guys, isn't this little illegal settler Zionist wholesome 100 Chungus? He's such a wholesome 100 Chungus Zionist settler. But they were still perturbed that he had come out of nowhere politically and flattered his way into Fetterman's inner circle, and his praise of their boss could be strange. In his new role, Safir has taken to publicly lauding the senator on X. Nobody on either side of the aisle says it quite like Fetterman, aka the Secretary of Trolling. The Secretary of Trolling. Nobody on either side of the aisle says it quite like Fetterman, aka the Secretary of Trolling. Who the fuck has ever called John Fetterman the Secretary of Trolling? He's the Secretary of Brain Damage, maybe. The Secretary of Genocide, but not the Secretary of Trolling. Last year, he tweeted an odd AI-generated video of Fetterman, and earlier this year, posted a slowed-down clip of Fetterman walking with his staff, overlaid with Shia's Unstoppable. And I'm like, I need to see this link. I need to see this right now. I want to see this clip. And so I have a special surprise for everyone. We are going to watch some John Fetterman AI slop. Some John Fetterman AI slop. I have never seen people actually like fuck with John Fetterman. Even like normal like imperialist Zionist Democrats think John Fetterman is like too Zionist for them. So this is going to be a treat to see the pro John Fetterman John Fetterman Twitter. So this is a tweet that he made. It's fitting that John Fetterman will be the one to break the deadlock. For 40 days, he's been the loudest voice for federal workers and the fiercest opponent of Washington's paralysis. American flag, flex emoji, ballot box emoji. This is John Fetterman. First of all, you know, the AI video hasn't played yet, but this the first frame looks horrifying. Like, what the fuck is what the fuck is this AI John Fetterman doing? Like, there's like he literally has the glass eyes of this like of the brain dead emperor of the hypnotized emperor. He has the glass eyes of the hypnotized emperor. Like, what the fuck is that face? 1,000-yard stare for real. First of all, what is this? Okay, so John Fetterman, he presses a light switch, he stares off into space, probably at a wall, and then there's a crowd of people, of AI people, who are like cheering and clapping for him, but they're not facing him. They're facing the Capitol. Like, what is this? I love this AI slop. It can't even generate like anything that makes any coherent sense. And then you just have John Fetterman's bald fucking head. You just have his bald fucking head here when people are cheering at it, but they're facing the opposite way. I love that. And then let me pull up the other tweet. The other tweet that this little sycophant made for John Fetterman. Okay, I think this is copyrighted music, so I'm gonna mute it. But let me hear the music first. So I'm gonna mute the audio capture. Okay, so the music is I'm Unstoppable. So just imagine Sia singing I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable to this footage of John Fetterman walking. I'm unstoppable. Like, what is this? I love how choppy the slow-mo is. Like, the slow-mo is literally the choppiest shit I've seen. Like, come on, man. You get the Israeli Zionist money. You can afford to have, like, better footage. Like, shoot this on a professional camera that isn't, like, choppy as hell. Like, bro put this in Premiere Pro and did, like, what, 50% speed? Look at this! Like, how is this aura farming? Like, he's literally just walking around in a hoodie, hunched over, and, like, not even looking at the camera. Like, this is not one of, like, bro did not aura farm, I fear. Like, he's just, like, hunched over and walking kind of slow. Oh my god, that's awesome. So I am going to talk a little bit about this one. So this is the wildest part of the article, in my opinion, guys. Where are his pants? They're in Tel Aviv. John Fetterman, my favorite senator from Tel Aviv. This is the wildest part of the article. Like, it shows just how detached from reality this man is. So John Fetterman, his approval rating is completely in the shitter. You know, he's just been such a ghoul on Israel-Palestine that it's, like, scared off even the regular Democratic voters. People are like, okay, this guy sucks. He's also, like, dick-sucking Donald Trump. And so, to show just how out of touch this guy is, you know, the blowback Fetterman has received from Democratic voters has fueled rumors that he might switch parties. His net approval rating among Pennsylvania Democrats has dropped 108 points. It's a massive swing, and Fetterman has had trouble adjusting. Last summer, Fetterman called a rare meeting with senior staff to ruminate about his political future. The presidency still intrigued him. Bro wants to be fucking president of what? Israel? He could probably run and be president of Israel. Four staffers say he used to openly talk about running for president, but it's been a bruising few months. He floated something more realistic: vice president on the Democratic Party's 2028 presidential ticket. Almost all of us had our jaws on the floor, like, are you out of your fucking mind? You don't do your job, you can't raise any money, and your entire party hates you. President of trolling. Please, that one got me big. But I'm like, dude, you actually think you're gonna be president? I mean, maybe if the Israel lobby pours enough money into your melting brain, but you're so maladjusted from reality. He's like, not at all operating the same reality everyone else is, you know? Also, if the Democrats put John Fetterman on their vice president 2028 ticket, like, I'm so sorry, the Democrats deserve to lose. I don't care. You know, let's get 4 years of like President Nick Fuentes or something. Okay, I don't want John Fetterman on the fucking Democratic ticket. Okay, that's a surefire way to lose. Like, good lord. And you know, as much as I joke about, you know, this guy being John Fetterman's scheming vizier, you know, let's be so real here. You know, John Fetterman didn't need a handler. You know, he didn't need a handler to tell him to be pro-Israel, because I think that's just who he is. You know, I think John Fetterman, he's always been a genocidal Zionist, and I think he just wants to surround himself with sycophants. You know, he didn't need the scheming vizier on his shoulder telling him to do it. He just liked being he liked the positive affirmations. You know, that's my pet theory. John Fetterman didn't like it how everyone kept yelling at him, and so he just liked this guy like whispering positive affirmations in his ear, being like, you know what, it's okay, I'm an illegal settler too. You know, it's okay, I'm a Zionist, and like, it's not a genocide. Murdering Palestinians and murdering Palestinian children is actually good. I think it just made him feel good. You know, it made him feel wholesome 100 chungus. Because as the president of trolling, it can get a little lonely. And sometimes, you know, a president of trolling needs a vice president. I love this guy. Like, what the fuck? I love how he literally is just out of nowhere, LARPing as Israelis, for real. No. But anyway, I'm obsessed with this news story. I am obsessed with it. I love it. And the AI too. It's so beautiful. So I'm gonna take a quick pause here. Is there any lore, guys? Is there any lore going on? Is like any tea happening in Noah's stream? Are they still like fighting? Is the stream gonna continue? I'm interested in this. I'm very, very interested in this. The people he killed can't exactly forgive him now. They both look like they live under a bridge and give out riddles. Maybe the scheming vizier. I don't know about John Fetterman. John Fetterman looks more like the is it the ogre? He looks more like the ogre from fairy tales. You know, he's like the I don't fucking know. I think the fight's over. Boo, boo. I want more fights. Meth versus Fent debate. Oh my god. Let's see. Closest might be their families. Let's see. I'm playing Minecraft. That's nice. Let's say I'm playing Minecraft. Yes, it's insanely real. Okay. Seems like there's some conversation here. Anyway, I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get back to the stream. We're gonna talk a little bit about the news, you know. So if y'all did not see this past week, there has been a huge drama, huge outcry of the international community, right? The international community has finally spoken up against Israel because Ben-Gvir posted some heinous shit. Bro posted some heinous shit on Twitter that like disgusted even the international community, which is usually, you know, happy enough to be quiet. You know, the international community is very happy to be compliant and quiet with the the genocide in Gaza. So I'm not gonna play the first few seconds of this clip because it is, you know, it is quite violent, let's say, right? But I will play the rest of it. So basically in the first part of this clip, he is pushing down an activist, a female flotilla activist who sailed to Gaza to break the siege, and he pushes her down, or soldiers push her down after she protests. And so this is Ben-Gvir. This is Ben-Gvir, basically holding the flotilla activists hostage after they tried to send humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza.
ברוכים הבאים לישראל, אנחנו בעלי הבית. ככה צריך.
So yeah, these are just, you know, peaceful activists who sailed to break the siege on Gaza, and here they are being held down and abused by Ben-Gvir.
ישראל חי. ישראל חי. כן.
זיכוי, כל המטרה כאן זה לראות שאין אנשים בתהליך.
לא להתרגש מהצעקות שלהם, לא להתרגש.
So really horrific shit. Really horrific shit. And he had this tweet. Let me pull up the tweet that Ben-Gvir had. He had this tweet where he said, "Welcome to Israel." Let me find this. Ben-Gvir, welcome to Israel. Here it is. Here is the tweet. So Just in, Ben-Gvir goes to where the foreign civilians kidnapped from the flotilla are being held to insult them. Welcome to Israel, we're in charge here. They came with a lot of pride, and see how they look now. Not heroes, nothing, terrorist supporters. Those who act against the state of Israel will find a determined state. I hope the Prime Minister will keep you with us in Kiziot prison as long as possible. So bro is basically taunting and abusing a bunch of these peaceful flotilla activists who just wanted to break a siege and send humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza, you know, as something that is, you know, legal under international law. You know, they illegally kidnapped them. I think they illegally kidnapped them even like further than usual. Like they kidnapped them like right off the coast of Greece. Like actually so fucked up. And so this footage obviously is horrific to see. You know, it's horrific to see just a bunch of peaceful activists get beaten up by this fucking Zionist asshole. And it has triggered a huge PR crisis for Israel. like it's really wild because so many Zionists are coming out. So many Zionists and Israelis are coming out and they're saying Ben-Gvir doesn't represent us. You know, this man doesn't represent who we are. You know? So you have a bunch of Israelis speaking out, being like, "He's not us, okay? You know, ignore that. He's has one of the highest positions in our government. He actually doesn't represent Israel." And so this is so funny because it's a small sample of the people who are condemning Ben-Gvir and his abuse of flotilla activists. So this guy says, "I'm an Israeli, a Jew, and a proud Zionist. Ben-Gvir doesn't represent me, and I'm ashamed of him. He's simply a Palestinian with a kippah." What the fuck? They can't even condemn someone without saying they're a Palestinian. Like, what is this? Like, Zionists literally cannot condemn someone without comparing them to like a fucking Palestinian. He's just a Palestinian with a kippah. Like, I'm so sorry, bro. This is your side. You know, he's an unabashed Zionist Kahanist, okay? Like, he is not a Palestinian with a kippah. He is an outspoken Zionist, and he has been for years. Like, good lord. And then, of course, you have Israeli officials condemning Ben-Gvir, surprise, surprise, because they realized that the PR looked fucking awful. Like, the optics of this is fucking awful. And so you have the foreign minister of Israel saying, "You knowingly caused harm to our state in this disgraceful display, and not for the first time. You've undone tremendous professional and successful efforts made by so many people, from IDF soldiers to foreign ministry staff, and many others. No, you are not the face of Israel." Hold on, guys. I think the screen is frozen right now. Let me fix this real quick. Okay, here we go. Oh shit, my computer's about to die. Give me a hot second, guys. I need to charge my computer. I'll reread this tweet. Give me a hot second. My computer is about to die, which is a bad idea. I really should have plugged that in. I'm a silly goose. Anyway, give me a First of all, I will say, you guys, I will say, laptop, says Revo. Yes, guys, I'm not rolling in the dough. I am not rolling in the dough. I am using, like, my old-ass MacBook laptop I used in college to stream. That's why the stream is always so janky. Like, sometimes the audio cuts out and sometimes the screen recorder fucks up because I am on my laptop streaming this right now. I am not rolling in the dough, I fear. I do not have a dedicated streaming computer. Holy MacBook user. Look, okay, Macs are fine. I'm not a gamer. And that's the thing as well. It's like, I realized I was bad at video games a long time ago, so I just have not played games ever since. Like, the only games I play are, like, Roblox and maybe Minecraft. Like, that's about it. I'm not a gamer. And I'm not rolling in the dough, I fear. Thank you so much, SMR Military. Let me see. I can't see your full name, I fear. But thank you so much for the $5 or £5, 5 British pounds. You gotta get a Lenovo. I use Mac. It sucks. I concur. So before I continue, I will do a little. You know, I'll save the physics for later. I will put the dogs away. Bro, we got a worse rig than me. I do. But it's okay. You know, I save money. I save a lot of money, and plus that is very portable, so I can pretty much stream wherever, especially if I'm like on the road or something. That was not the win, bro. Don't worry. I will do physics lesson later. Okay, we gotta continue. We gotta continue with this bit because it's really funny to see how deep in denial Israeli officials are, right? So then you have this foreign minister, right, who is saying, "You knowingly cause harm to our state in this disgraceful display, and not for the first time. You have undone tremendous professional and successful efforts made by so many people, from IDF soldiers to foreign ministry staff and many others. No, you are not the face of Israel." I just love this. It's like they openly recognize that Ben-Gvir's little stunt here completely destroyed their propaganda. They completely destroyed like the propaganda and goodwill that Israel keeps trying to generate with their Hasbara. And they're just like, "You are fucking up our Hasbara, Ben-Gvir. Please go away. You were messing this up for all of us." And like I think the cherry on top is Netanyahu himself. Netanyahu himself scolding Ben-Gvir. He says Israel has every right to prevent provocative flotillas of Hamas terrorist supporters from entering our territorial waters and reaching Gaza. First of all, it does not have that right. You do not have the right to intercept peaceful activists who are trying to break a siege, okay? Like, especially in international waters. And this is where it goes. So he's both siding this. He says, however, the way that Minister Ben-Gvir dealt with the flotilla activists is not in line with Israel's values and norms. I've instructed the relevant authorities to deport the provocateurs as soon as possible. I love how they call them provocateurs and not, you know, like peaceful activists who are trying to break a siege. Like, good fucking lord. Like, Netanyahu. Like, it's the thing as well. It's like, as much as these people will say, you know, Ben-Gvir doesn't represent us, you are not the face of Israel, and Netanyahu is, like, scolding him. Like, nothing is gonna happen to Ben-Gvir. Like, nothing is gonna happen because, you know, he is quite literally in one of the most powerful positions in the Israeli government. You know, like, as much as people love to complain about Ben-Gvir, you know, like, Ben-Gvir is wild, he's crazy, blah, blah, blah. You know, he is literally the most powerful, one of the most powerful people in the Israeli government. Like, what are we even talking about? Let me pull this up. Same with Netanyahu, by the way. People love to say the problem isn't the Israeli government or the Israeli people. The problem is Netanyahu himself. As if Netanyahu hasn't been elected continually decade after decade. Like what? His first term in Israeli political power was like what, decades ago? Like when, the 1990s? So this is a good opinion piece that I found in The Guardian that talks a lot. Since nobody better represents Israeli politics today than Itamar Ben-Gvir, he may be the most brazen of the nation's leaders, but his ideological spirit is found throughout its government and beyond. So let me scroll through this. I know this is so awesome. So let's see. No, you're not hallucinating. Western governments really are condemning Israel one by one without equivocation. Not because of the ongoing genocide in Gaza that has killed more than 70,000 Palestinians. Of course, this is an undercount. Everyone who's been paying attention knows this is an undercount. Of course. But because of a PR stunt in which Israel's national security minister himself taunted foreign activists. On Wednesday morning, Ben-Gvir arrived at the port where Israel had detained hundreds of participants in an international aid flotilla that was attempting to breach the naval blockade of Gaza. In a video he posted to social media, the minister can be seen mocking the activists as they are forced to kneel in rows with their heads down on the ground and hands bound with zip ties. Israel's national anthem can be heard blasting over loudspeakers before we see Ben-Gvir waving an Israeli flag and shouting, "Welcome to Israel! We are the landlords here!" That's like, wow. Like, you know, the most favorable group of people, landlords. Who doesn't love their landlord? And who doesn't always want to be, you know, call themselves a landlord? You know, not the most parasitic class that exists. The international reaction was swift and unequivocal, including from Britain's Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper, who said she was truly appalled at the video. This is the thing as well. It's like, I mean, the sad matter of the fact is, you know, the international community only pays attention to Gaza if Europeans are harmed, right? Like, that's the sad fact of what's going on in Palestine. Is like, the world only cares when it's like Europeans who are being harmed, or like non-Palestinians, non-Arabs. You know, when you have a genocide going on for 3 years at this point, no one gaff. Like, that's the thing as well. It's like, I don't know if y'all have been paying attention to the Zohar Mamdani. Like, he's constantly condemning anti-Semitic incidents on his Twitter, and it's like, dude, you know, okay, feel free to do that, but also maybe you should consider condemning, you know, the daily massacres that Israel is inflicting, not only on people in Gaza, not only on people in the West Bank and other parts of occupied Palestine, but also now in southern Lebanon. You know, like, where was the condemnation of Israel's violence against the people of Lebanon when they double tapped paramedics the other day? You know, it's like, it's, as much as bad as anti-Semitism is, you know, obviously bigotry is bad in general, you know, blah blah blah, but like, bigotry in terms of words is nothing in comparison to bigotry in terms of like actually murdering people. You know, there's very clear levels to this. You know, I think, you know, being mad at a couple of mean words directed towards Jewish people, like, I think that's very much incomparable to taking the lives of actual people. You know, like where the fuck are the international condemnations of that? So let's see. Many of those speaking out, including Huckabee, consoled themselves with the fact that Ben-Gvir's actions were denounced by his own government. But of course, he's not actually going to be held accountable. You know, like nothing is actually going to be done about Ben-Gvir doing this. You know, he's still going to keep his position. While describing the flotilla activists as Hamas terrorist supporters, I love that. You know, like they don't even have weapons. They're literally just trying to help civilians. You know, this is not an armed resistance group at all. You know, Benjamin Netanyahu's office stated that the National Security Minister's stunt was not in line with Israel's values and norms. I think it very much is. You know, this is the thing as well. This is the major cope. Is like attacking and abusing peaceful flotilla activists is literally in line with what Israel does because they've done it before. They've done it before, guys. Like in 2010, you had the same, like you had another similar group of activists try to sail to Gaza and give aid to people, and they were murdered. Literally 9 of them were killed. Okay, like this isn't Israel. Like I'm so sorry, it is, and there's literal precedent for the exact same thing being done. You know, like what the fuck are we talking about? Not in line with Israel's values and norms. Like you literally killed flotilla activists before. Like this is literally what Israel is, dude. You know, the only reason they're not doing it now is because there's more international scrutiny on them. Let's see, Gideon Sa'ar. Okay, Gideon Sa'ar said, no, you're not the face of Israel, except he very much is. In fact, there's no one who more plainly epitomizes today's Israel than Ben-Gvir, and it's high time the international community woke up to that reality. Let's start with the obvious. Far from being a marginal figure in Israeli politics, he is one of the most senior members in the government. He's one of the most senior ministers in the government. The National Security Ministry, which was created specifically for him, grants him supreme authority over Israel's regular and militarized police forces, both within and beyond the state's internationally recognized borders. It is in this capacity he has waged a mass crackdown on the freedom of expression of Palestinian citizens of Israel, distributed 10,000 assault rifles to Jewish Israeli civilians, including West Bank settlers, and worked diligently to upend the decades-old, highly sensitive religious status quo on the Temple Mount/Al-Aqsa compound. He is also in charge of Israel's prison systems, which, in the words of B'Tselem, has become a network of torture camps. And I talked a little bit about this story the other day, but just horrific conditions in the camps. But Ben-Gvir's influence on Israeli politics extends far beyond the limits of his ministry. Over the past 5 years, he's been forced into plain sight the racist undercurrents of Israeli politics that have been present since the state's foundation, but which have largely been reined in for the sake of international audiences. He is a Kahanist whose Koch party was deemed so extreme that it was banned in Israel in the 1980s. Ben-Gvir has breathed new life into his hero's agenda of expelling Palestinians en masse, whether it be in Gaza, the West Bank, or inside Israel, and he has the ability to do so precisely because of the helping hand he received from none other than Benjamin Netanyahu. And it's like, bruh, I just like once again, Ben-Gvir, like he is literally Israel. He like this idea that he doesn't represent Israel is nonsensical, okay? Like what he's doing already has precedence even without him. You know, like Israel has killed flotilla activists before, and like even ignoring that, right? Ben-Gvir is literally one of the most senior ministers in the government of Israel. Like he is Israel, dude. Like I don't know what we're doing. Like the only reason they're saying this is because he's fucking up their propaganda efforts. Like they're being open about it. It's like, dude, you're messing things up for all of us. Stop it. You know, are we going to do anything about you? No, but please stop. You're making things bad for international audiences. But anyway, I am okay. Here is a story talking a little bit about what happened to the activists. So luckily they were released. They were released in Turkey a few days ago. Or actually a few hours ago, according to this. 11 hours ago, huh? So they released in Turkey. It says pro-Palestine activists deported after their Gaza-bound aid flotilla was intercepted. First of all, you gotta love this language that the BBC is using. Deported, intercepted. Like, yeah, not illegally kidnapped in international waters. Yeah, they were just intercepted, neutrally intercepted in international waters. They were kidnapped and then deported. Oh my god, I love this. Have alleged they were subject to abuse while held in detention. Canada has said it received information detailing appalling abuse of its citizens, while Germany and Spain confirmed a number of citizens had injuries. The flotilla's organizers alleged there were at least 15 cases of sexual assault, while other people who were detained said they were beaten and mistreated. The BBC has not been able to independently verify the allegations. Israel's prison service has dismissed them as false, saying all detainees were held in accordance with the law. My thing is like the Hasbara has gotten so bad they're just denying reality. It's like, dude, we have the photos. We have the photos of these guys, like their bruises and injuries from being kidnapped and held as hostage. Like like why are we denying reality? Like we can see the fucking bruises, and also we literally saw it on video earlier. Like they literally pushed some lady down because she shouted free Palestine to Ben-Gvir. Like we like we're just denying reality at this point. Although let's be so real, guys, that's like most of Israeli Hezbollah, right? Most of Israeli Hezbollah is straight up just denying reality. Okay. I think I'm gonna end the segment there. Let me check on why we couldn't independently verify the allegations, but Israel says it's wrong. Exactly. We would have world peace released 10 minutes. Every person had their own. What's this? Anyway, I don't know what exactly is going on here. I think there's some discourse happening in chat. Bro, why am I number 2 fan? What's this about Bad and Panad? There was a debate earlier, SMR military analysis. There was a debate earlier between Bad and Panad and FD Signifier. It's on Noah Samsen's live stream. You can go watch it. I tried to watch it a bit on stream earlier, but it was a bit it got very heated. Let's say got very fucking heated. But anyway, I know that people are really excited for the physics lesson. I said I would do it, so I'm gonna pop up the physics lesson, guys. So thank you so much for the super chat, guys. I always pull these out for the super chats. Sometimes I don't pull them out if people ask. But I tend to pull them out. He debunked some stuff before, but I don't remember what. I'm currently on... Okay. So it seems like people just having conversations in chat. Anyway, Okay. I don't know what's going on in chat right now, so I'm just going to continue on to the next segment. Zooey Mama. Did you get a haircut? I'm planning to do my hair soon. I'm planning to get back to black hair. And then after I get back to black hair, I'm planning to bleach it to blonde. But we will see. Black... Oh, interesting. It was a debate on tactics that primarily revolved around Bad and Panada's use of the term Zog slave and referring to BRG. Interesting. Very interesting. I will have to rewatch the debate. Red hair. I do have red hair IRL, guys. This is how I look like IRL for the most part. But I want to get to this next story, guys. I want to get to this next story because I feel like the world is healing a little bit. The world is healing because we now have meme settlements. Charlie Kirk meme settlements are now a thing. There's starting to be a little bit of a wave of these. So I don't know if y'all remember, but this little guy named Charlie Kirk, something happened to him that made him stop saying racist things forever. Charlie Kirk, something happened to him like a few months ago that kind of took the internet by storm. And people started posting memes about it, and there was a huge wave of people getting fired, some even arrested and locked up. And those people are now suing because obviously it's not a crime to post a meme. Okay, it is not a crime to post a meme, and they are getting bank. They are taking their memes all the way to the bank because they got illegally fired or illegally arrested. It is awesome. So there was this one guy in Tennessee, former cop, I know. So, I can't cheer him on because he is a former cop. But this guy in Tennessee posted this meme in response to a local vigil that they were holding for Charlie Kirk. He posted this meme, says, "Donald Trump, we have to get over it. Trump on the Perry High School mass shooting one day after Charlie Kirk was murked." So he very clearly posted a little meme. It's nothing super serious. But guess what, guys? He actually got fucking arrested. They arrested his ass and held him in prison for 37 days. It's the wildest story I have seen in a while. I'm like, what? You can get arrested? I thought the United States was the land of free speech or some shit. But nope, they arrested this guy. A former cop, too, by the way, which is wild. They're just arresting cops, too. I'm like, I thought so much for Blue Lives Matter or whatever the fuck. They don't even gaff about cops anymore. Although, let's be so real here. I feel like they stopped. I feel like the right wing started gaffing about cops after January 6th. When liberals started pearl clutching over, cops on January 6th, I feel like the right wing was just like, we don't care about cops anymore. Fuck cops. If they're woke cops, fuck them, And what I will say is, ACAB, we don't need liberal cops, conservative cops, ACAB, guys. That's my official stance from Spooky Scary Socialist. So this is the article right here. A Tennessee man was jailed over his Charlie Kirk social media comments. Now he's won an $800,000 settlement. The world is healing. The world is fucking healing, guys. So Tennessee officials will pay $35,000 to settle a lawsuit filed by a man who was jailed for more than a month over a Facebook post he made about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. While many people across the US lost their jobs over social media comments about Charlie Kirk's death, I know people. I know someone who unironically did get fired. So like this hits pretty close to home because I know people who this happened to. Larry Bushart's case stood as a rare instance in which such online speech led to criminal prosecution. The 61-year-old retired police officer spent 37 days behind bars before authorities dropped a felony charge against him in October. Felony! They were gonna give this guy a felony for posting a meme. That's awesome. That's awesome. So much for free. Like literally 1984. During his time in jail, he lost his post-retirement job and missed his wedding anniversary and the birth of his granddaughter, according to a federal lawsuit he filed in December against Perry County, its sheriff and investigator who obtained the arrest warrant. I am pleased my First Amendment rights have been vindicated. The people's freedom to participate in civil discourse is crucial to healthy democracy. I'm looking forward to moving on and spending time with my family. Meanwhile, the Perry County mayor, John Carroll, did not immediately respond to a Wednesday message left with his office seeking interview. He was arrested in September after he refused to take down Facebook memes that joked about Kirk's killing, which prompted an outpouring of grief among conservatives, including Perry County, which is near Bushart's home and which held a candlelight vigil. The meme that Bushart posted prompted his arrest read, "This seems relevant today," and featured President Donald Trump in his words, "We have to get over it." So basically, the cops were just saying, yeah, this is basically a threat against a nearby school, even though it's obviously not a fucking threat, and they arrested him and held him in prison for like a month. This is wild. He was charged with a felony. He had bail at $2 million. I'm like, what? Not even on his own recognizance? Bro literally got a $2 million bail. Like, what the heck? Before he was released, as the case drew national attention. That's wild. That's wild. And so, you know, you can be like, oh, okay, well, this was a one-off. This was a one-off, you know, like maybe things aren't healing, you know, like spooky things are still pretty bad. Like, why are you saying nature is healing? Well, the reason I say that is because it's not the only case. You know, there is another settlement in the hundreds of thousands of dollars over someone posting a Charlie Kirk meme. And so this lady in Florida, got $485,000 in another settlement when she was fired for posting a Charlie Kirk meme. And so the meme that she posted was this. So she reposted this post on her story. So we are like 5 degrees removed from anything being said. So this account, A Whale Fact, posted the following on Instagram. The whales are deeply saddened to learn about the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Haha, just kidding. They care exactly as much as Charlie Kirk cared about children being shot in their classrooms, which is to say, not at all. Beast mode! Beast mode! So this Instagram account posted this, and then a Florida conservationist posted on her personal Instagram story. So on her private Instagram account, she reposted it on her Instagram story. So we are like 2-3 degrees removed from anyone saying anything of real substance. And then apparently libs of TikTok caught word of this and then posted about it and then got her fired from her job at like the Florida Conservation Center or whatever the fuck. So let me pull up the article talking about this $400,000 settlement, which is awesome. You know, I wish I was fired at this point. Like, guys, can we start? I wish I could go back in time and get fired from my job by memeing about Charlie Kirk loud enough. So let's see. Here it is. Florida biologist fired over Charlie Kirk post wins $485,000 settlement. Biologist was fired by a state agency for criticizing Charlie Kirk on social media after his shooting death. So Florida officials have agreed to pay nearly $500,000 to a biologist who was fired by the state agency for criticizing conservative political activist Charlie Kirk on social media. The state's Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission fired biologist Brittany Brown in September after she reposted a meme on her personal Instagram account that claimed Kirk wouldn't care about children being shot in their classrooms. Factually, bro wouldn't. Like, bro literally did not gaff about school shootings. She filed a lawsuit seeking reinstatement, saying she struggled to find other work because the state agency is the regulatory body for her research specialization in bird conservation. Brown on Thursday signed a $485,000 settlement agreement with agency doctors that covers back pay, damages, and attorney costs. She agreed as part of the deal not to seek future employment at the agency. Officials did not immediately respond to a request for comment. She was among a wave of workers in both the public and private sector who lost their jobs over comments about Kirk's assassination on a Utah University campus on September 10th. Lawsuits are pending over many of those firings. Guys, there's going to be a wave of Charlie Kirk settlements. We are going to get the Charlie Kirk settlement phenomenon. You know, these are only the this is the first wave. Okay, these are the first two. There will be many, many more to come, inshallah. Inshallah, we get reparations, meme reparations for memeing about Charlie Kirk. You know, like the world is healing. You know, thriving internet theory, thriving internet theory. Before his death, Kirk and the organization he founded, TPUSA, galvanized the conservative youth to help Donald Trump win a second presidency. Kirk's supporters combed social media for posts they viewed as celebrating his death. Influencers like Laura Loomer pledged to ruin the careers of people who made light of the killing, and the conservative social media account Libs of TikTok shared the identities and workplaces of many who posted, with its audience of millions. So this is the thing as well. Libs of TikTok posted this random biologist, you know, like her personal source. She posted it and basically told her people to like report her. You know, they told her people to report her. And you would be like, okay, well, you know, being part of a, you know, harassment campaign by Libs of TikTok, like certainly like her workplace probably got like thousands of complaints, right? Like, you know, like these Libs of TikTok people, they probably got like so many complaints, so many complaints, you know, complaining and woke scolding this poor little biologist for memeing about Charlie Kirk. Well, you know, they did discovery and and the agency only got 50 complaints. Libs of TikTok has like 1 million plus followers, like millions of followers, and only 50 people actually bothered to complain about her. Like, these people are literally losing influence. Like, they have no influence in real life, okay? Like, it's so fucking easy to write an email and complain, but only 50 people did it. And then the agency tried to like do a little excuse. They tried to make an excuse, and they said, you know, Brown's post generated hundreds of formal complaints and caused significant disruptions, when in reality, they literally just got like, what, 50 emails, which, you know, probably immediately went to the spam folder. You know, it's like conservatives love to do this little cancel culture thing, but it's like their cancel culture just sucks. You know, this is the shittier version of cancel culture. 1 million divided by 50. You know, she made 50 Kirks by memeing about Charlie Kirk. She actually made 50 of them. All 50 Charlie Kirks. But, you know, I love that nature is healing, and I hope to see more of these in the future, okay? You know, I am a big supporter of free speech and free, like, shitposting memes without consequence. So, you know, inshallah, there will be another wave to come, you know? Like once again, we have to get over it. We have to get over it, and to move on from the division of the Charlie Kirk assassination, we need to have reparations right now for anyone who was fired. Anyone who was fired deserves reparations for the Charlie Kirk memes, for posting Charlie Kirk memes. But anyway, you know, that's just a wholesome 100 Chungus story I wanted to cover. A wholesome 100 Chungus. But I think let me read this. Kirkify your avatar. I would if I could. You know, I'll try to figure out how to do that. Is Kirk the new Harambe? Pre-Kirk, post-Kirk? Guys, we are in, like, 1 AK right now. 1 after Kirk. We are Charlie Kirk. After the US collapses, we will get the Pacific Northwest sponsored by Xfinity with 3 off our roof. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that comment by Charlie Kirk. What a piece of... He was a Zionist piece of shit. We are Charlie Kirk. The reason you're better than Bad Fanata is you don't apologize for Gen Z newspeak. I fear I am just brain rotted enough to talk in Gen Z. I unironically say Loker genuinely. That's awesome. We carry the flame. So this next segment I want to talk about is... I don't know how to describe it. So how I describe it in my Google Slides, because yes, I stream on my MacBook, on my old MacBook, and I use Google Slides because they're free. Okay, Google Slides is free. So I don't know how to describe this next segment, but I described it as Book Talker attacks tankies. You know this is gonna be a good one. So I'm going to be reacting to this Book Talker. Sim Book Talks Badly, and they have a very interesting TikTok lesson on how to deal with tankies. So let me pull this up because it is beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a long time. Book Talk. So what Book Talk is, this is like the corner of TikTok that loves to read books. So that's what I mean by book talk. So first of all, I love how they have a whole ass whiteboard. A whole ass whiteboard that's color coded. How to deal with tankies. With tankies like what, in red? Is that red Sharpie? And then they have tanky, noun, a do-nothing accelerationist, chronically online, genocide-denying, quote-unquote Maoist, quote-unquote Marxist-Leninist, quote-unquote Stalinist. I'm obsessed with this. This is like Katie Porter shit. This is literally Katie Porter shit. You have the you have the fucking whiteboard. I'm obsessed. But anyway, let me play the TikTok and let's react. Let's react. First of all, I love how happy they are. You know, like, I wish I could be this happy. I wish my life had, like, so little going on that I could be, like, this happy talking about and complaining about tankies. Let me actually get a little bit more on screen here so you can see the captions. I want to be open-minded to accessibility here. Okay, let me fix the audio capture. Okay, it should be good now.
To deal with tankies. Have you ever been trying to build power in your community or pass a social reform that would meaningfully improve the lives of all the workers around you, and then someone comes into the comments on your social media and calls you a neoliberal imperialist sheepdog? Then you might have a tanky problem.
My thing is like like this person doesn't even have an IRL example, right? You don't even have an IRL example. All you're doing is like complaining about social media comments. Like, dude, like, you're literally just complaining about social media comments. Like, get a grip. You know? Like, block them and move on. Like, if they get you this bad, just ignore them. Okay? Like, why? Well, you don't have to make a whole TikTok and, like, have this, like, whiteboard complaining about tankies. Okay? Like, just ignore them and move on. Okay? You gotta get a thicker skin, okay, when dealing with social media comments. Okay?
Now, unlike tankies, who insist that they are the true communists and speak for all communists ever, I am going to narrowly define tankies as a do-nothing accelerationist, chronically online, genocide-denying Maoist, Marxist-Leninist, or Stalinist.
So, the big problem we have here is, like, tanky is very obviously, it, like, has such a slippery definition, right? It's basically whatever I think is bad. You know, whoever I think is bad is a tanky, right? And so, like, this definition is, like, a good example of, like, the completely slippery definition of tanky. Like, first of all, what do we mean by genocide denying? Like, what genocide? You know, like, are you talking about the Holodomor? Because, like, you know, by that definition, bourgeois scholars who acknowledge that the Holodomor was not an intentional famine, but, you know, just a famine caused by different policies, bad weather, etc. I mean, are they just denying a genocide? You know, like, and like, what genocide are we talking about here? I'm a little confused by that. And then second of all, they have like Maoist, Marxist, Leninist, and Stalinist in quotes. Like, why are they in quotes? Okay, like, technically I wouldn't fall under this definition because I'm not an accelerationist and I'm not a do-nothing. I am chronically online though. I am chronically online, so part of this definition does fit for me. But let's see what this person has to say.
If you call yourself a tanky, but you are not all those things, then this video is not about you.
Okay, so technically this video isn't about me, but like I'm confused then. Like, if you're defying tankies this narrowly, like, isn't this literally like what? Like, this would be like 10 people? You know, like, are we just complaining about 10 people in your comments?
And if you are all those things, but you don't call yourself a tanky, you might be a tanky. Famously, however, it's important to define our terms because communists have never agreed on what communism actually is or means. Unlike what tankies will tell you, they'll tell you they and they alone.
I mean, look, what's a stateless, classless, moneyless society, right? I mean, like, is there that much controversy? You know, I think some people might differ on how to get there and how to get to that point. But, like, you know, I think it's pretty unanimous. It's a stateless, classless, moneyless society. Some people might argue it's more of a movement, more of an ideology. But, like, in broad strokes, I haven't seen a lot of definition squabbling over what communism actually is.
Know what communism really is. But the truth of the matter is, if you ever get 4 communists in a room, you're going to wind up with 5 communist organizing parties.
Well, yeah, but, like, they're going to disagree mainly on methods of how to get there. They're not really going to disagree on, you know, what communism is. You know, like, even, like, the most hardline Marxist-Leninists will agree that the end goal is a stateless, classless, moneyless society. You know, but the difference between, you know, Marxist-Leninist and anarchist is how to get there.
Now, in this multi-part series, which I will film probably sporadically over the next couple months, and I may give up halfway through, but here's hoping. I'm feeling energized. We're going to talk about topics like tankyism is really just Calvinism.
Like, what is this? Tankyism? Is that a new ideology now? I'm so confused what is going on. Like, so people are saying anarchists are so cringe, bro, lib slop. I don't know if this is lib slop. I think this is like sock dem slop. Like, I feel like this is social democracy slop. Like, this is literally American brain rot. Like, American social democracy brain rot. And like, y'all will see later in this TikTok, but very, very much made by an American. You know, and I say this as someone who is currently living in the United States, but I'm like you are very much have the American brain rot of politics, you know?
Tankyism is Fed shit. Tanky.
Fed shart? I love the caption say Fed shart. couldn't find a different word.
Don't know communist history and don't actually read or think critically about the books that they're always talking about.
Like, you know, say what you want about tankies, but, you know, I think they're probably the most well-read tendency on average than, you know, all the other tendencies. And at least they have, like, a canon and a theoretical canon. You know, like, what do social democrats read? Kautsky? You know, like, that's awesome. Hello?
We'll go over all the many logical fallacies that underpin tanky ideology. And finally, I'll try to wrap it all up together into like an easy how to deal with tankies in your comments guide.
Guys, they are so happy. Like, I wish I could be this happy. You know, like, I can't even get that mad. Like, they just look really excited to, like, share something with the class. You know, like, I feel like I'm back in kindergarten and we're doing show and tell. And, like, you have, like, another student who's, like, really happy to show you something they thought was really cool. And you're like, and it's kind of lame. You know, like, what? They brought, like, a shoebox to class to do show and tell. And they're like, look at the shoebox. Isn't it cool? My cat plays with it. And, you know, you don't really gaff, but, like, they just look so happy. You don't have the heart to tell them you don't really care. Like, I feel like this is this. You know, I'm just like, You know?
You may be noticing that this is very similar to the work I did in 2023 and 2024, where I broke down Zionist ideology and talked about how to dismantle it and argue with it. And I'm pretty sure I can do a good job doing the same thing with tankies because they actually use many of the same rhetorical strategies and logical fallacies that Zionists do.
Citation needed. I can't wait to watch that part of the series. I'm so excited. You know, like for me, you know, like the people who have been the most anti-Zionist have been the communists, right? Like, like if we want to talk about the Palestinian struggle, right? The left, the tankies, have always been, alongside the Islamists, some of the few people that have, you know, stood side by side against Zionism, right? Like the PFLP, the DFLP, they're in alliance with the Islamist factions against Zionism who have been militantly struggling against that. You know, like, I think comparing, you know, tankies or communists or whatever to Zionists is a bit silly because, like, the material, like, tankies, you know, communists, the left, have been one of the few material forces that have been militantly struggling against Zionism.
But you may be like, Sim, why is this a big deal with all that's going on in the world? Like, why should the left be fighting with itself? But I see tankies as, like, again, this definition of tankies as a Calvinist cult, similar to Christian evangelicalism. Like any cult, it is leading our youth astray.
What is this? It's like the cult mania of like the 1990s. It's like, oh my gosh, like they're fear mongering about cults that are leading our youth astray. Protect the children, protect the children. They're getting seduced. They're getting seducted by Marxism, Leninism. Like, guys, okay, so one thing, you know, as someone who has deeply read up on like cults and shit, like this idea of cults brainwashing people is like extreme. Like, first of all, a lot of it is based on like old Soviet propaganda, you know, where they thought the Soviets and the communists were able to use their brainwashing machines to trick people into becoming communists because, you know, US intelligence didn't actually believe that people would be won over by the ideals of communism. They thought they had to be nefarious and use mind washing, brainwashing tactics. And then a lot of, you know, anti-cult people started using that in their own discourse. And, you know, like the thing with the cults, right, is like, if you read the literature on cults, there's actually a very good body of work on new religious movements. That's the term that scholars use for cults. And like they like take new religious movements very seriously, right? Like they don't do this like cult shit. Like they actually study the organization and look at how, you know, even in these religious movements there is still autonomy, right? Like people are only in religions if they get something out of it, right? Like they get community out of it, they get you know, something out of it. They get, you know, a social circle out of it. You know, like obviously it's bad when that community turns abusive, and especially financially abusive. But generally speaking, you know, if you join a religion, whether it be an old religion or a new religion, a cult, you know, like you tend to get something out of it. You know, like this idea that people are being brainwashed into joining different groups, you know, a lot of it's just old communist propaganda that's been reheated for like a new age of hysteria and moral panic. You know, it's like, it's not, you know, maybe we shouldn't just be calling everything cults. You know, like I have a very critical view of people who call things cults because, you know, it's a lot more nuanced than that, especially when you read the literature.
It is making rational, productive conversation impossible. I think it's having an outside.
I mean, yes, maybe in the comment sections of different social media posts, but like, you know, maybe just have a conversation. You know, maybe talk with some of these people. Maybe they won't be as like much of a crank as you think they are.
Demoralizing effect on the entire left, everything left of the Democrats.
I love that definition of the left. Anyone to the left of the Democrats. That's a pretty big tent, huh?
And it just gets under my skin and annoys the fuck out of me. For today, let me try to prove just that first claim I made.
Okay, let me scroll up a little bit. So this is, I love the updated white chart. This is beautiful. Like, look, literally, like this is show and tell. Like, color coding different parts of what makes a tanky a Calvinist, tankyism and Calvinism. You know, so on the tankyism side you have Lenin, Mao, Marx, and then on the Calvinist side you have the Old and New Testaments. I love this so much. Any recommendations on cults literature? I will have to get back to you on that. I took, the reason I talked a lot about cults is because I took a class on them. It's actually a very interesting body of literature. On the clip I'll probably link a few works that I found pretty compelling in that class.
Which is that tankyism has a whole lot in common with Calvinism. Calvinism is the name.
I am going to zoom out a little bit so y'all can read the captions. I want to make sure y'all can understand them.
Which is that tankyism has a whole lot in common with Calvinism. Calvinism is the name.
Someone says the leftist version of Professor Jiang. I love that.
Name of the branch of Christian Protestantism started by John Calvin, a 16th century French theologian. And Calvinism becomes Puritanism, and then it's brought to the US by the Puritans, and there it becomes the precursor to Christian evangelicalism.
So my thing is, like, they line out a very, like, a philosophical history of Calvinism and try to connect it to tankyism. And I'm like, this is a very American lineage. Like, seriously, like, are you saying that tankies are an American phenomenon? Like, what are we doing here? You know, like quote unquote tankies exist all throughout the world, you know, like especially in the third world, especially in places like Southeast Asia, you know, like in the Philippines, there's still an ongoing Maoist insurgency. There's communist parties in power in Vietnam. And all these other places, you know, like what are we doing here? Like, why are we focusing only on the States and Calvinism in the States? You know, like for Calvinism to play a big role in the development of tankyism, it's like, you know, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
And Christian evangelical ideology has a lot in common with the shit that tankies say. Now, you may remember I very recently made a video on how climate doomerism is also Calvinism. And so maybe you think like I have some kind of disorder where I just keep seeing Calvinism everywhere. But
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, like, what the fuck does Calvinism have to do with the development of, like, tanky ideology? Like, what? There might be superficial resemblances, as with any other thing you could point at. But, like, I don't see it. But let's let them continue.
I would say I keep seeing Calvinism everywhere because the United States keeps reproducing.
Like the United States, like once again, why are we focusing on the United States? Like, do they think like there's like a compound in the United States where like tankies live in their little cult where they like read Marx, Lenin, and Stalin? Like, no, like the tanky phenomenon, quote unquote, is worldwide. Why are we focusing only on the United States? Like, this is so American centric. Like, be so for real.
Calvinist ideology in new packaging, the way evolution keeps reinventing the crab. Christian evangelicalism is.
I mean, that's such a funny comparison to talk about evolution reinventing the crab because, you know, evolution is natural selection through survival of the fittest. So that kind of like that's kind of saying that tankyism is the best ideology because it keeps surviving. Tankyism is the best ideology because it's the ideology that actually survives and builds long-lasting states. Like, yes, maybe the reason tankyism is so prolific is because it actually succeeded, instead of like the 15,000th time they've tried democratic socialism and gets crushed in a coup. Like how many, like if we want to talk about evolution, how many times has entryism into the Democratic Party succeeded? Like tell me the number of times entryism into the Democratic Party succeeded. Like what, you had the popularists in like the late 18th, early 19th century, and they like got completely subsumed by the Democratic Party machine. You have ongoing attempts of like progressives to try to infiltrate the Democratic Party machine. It's like, dude, be so for real. If we want to talk about evolution, let's see whose stance on politics actually succeeds the most.
So baked into our cultural DNA in the US that all the time,
like, once again, like, so US centric. Like, do you think tankies just all exist in the United States? Like, what are we doing here?
There are new cults and ideologies cropping up that are just reproducing a few classic tropes. So let's go through them. One of the biggest red flags that you're dealing with an ideology that's really just Calvinism is that baked into its DNA is the idea that purity is achieved through suffering. And this was echoed all throughout the past week by tankies in the comments of my video saying that reform is bad. They were telling me that the fact that Zoran Mamdani passed universal childcare for all New Yorkers is actually, that's a bad thing.
First of all, that's not the point that a lot of, people make when they're critical of social welfare reform in the first world, right? Like, the reason social welfare reform is criticized by tankies is because it's obviously built on the back of the spoils of imperialism. Like, once again, we have America brain completely forgetting that, social democracy in the first world is ultimately about who gets the bigger part of the pie, the bigger part of the imperialist pie. Like, when tankies are criticizing welfare in the United States or in all these other first world countries, it's on those grounds. It's not because suffering in and of itself is a virtue. It's that, these programs that are supposed to alleviate suffering are built on the suffering of the third world, and like, maybe instead of like abstracting that critique so much to the point that it becomes purity through suffering, maybe you should engage with that critique. Like, social democracy in the United States and all these other first world countries are objectively built on the plunder, the spoil, the theft of millions and billions of dollars of, in the third world. It's built on that imperialism. Like, what are we doing here?
Because then the workers get too comfortable. Tankies,
I mean, like, some people have, like, accelerationists definitely do have some of that. But, like, once again, the major critique that most people have of social democracy is that it's built on the spoils of imperialism. Not that, there is something virtuous about suffering.
Actually hate workers. They seem to. They want us to suffer.
I mean, like, that's another thing as well. Is like, if you want to go full third worldist, right? I mean, you could argue that, like, the real reason that these programs, like, people criticize these programs is because, like, they're harming the workers, right? Like, they're harming the real workers in the third world, not labor aristocrats in the first world. Although that might be too third worldist. That might be too third worldist of a take, right?
They hate everyone. They want us to suffer. The only way we will ever be purified enough to achieve revolution is if we are suffering as much as 18th century serfs.
I mean, it's like... like, what are we doing here? It's so America-centric. It's like, yeah, the American proletariat is just suffering so bad. We just need to be suffering. It's like, dude, come on. Like, here in the United States, we have some of the best fucking living standards. We have, like, some of the best wages in comparison to the third world. Like, let's be so real. We are not suffering at all. Like, why do we have to complain about this, okay? Like, stop complaining. Like, good lord.
This gets wrapped up in the second principle of Calvinism that I see in tankyism, which is the idea of predestination, that we can't really change our fate. They say things like there's no possible way to improve society through voting. There's
votes! We need a vote!
no possible way for a democratic politician to ever be good.
I mean, like, didn't you literally talk about Zoran Mamdani? Like, bro has literally betrayed Palestine again and again, after getting elected. Like, what are we talking? Like, of course, democratic like, this is a structural critique. Like, this person is very clearly misrepresenting a structural critique that anti-electoralists have, which is that, sure, you can vote someone in, but they are very quickly going to be consumed by the political machine that, that subsumes bourgeois politics. In the same way that it happened to Bernie, in the same way it happened to AOC, in the same way it happened to Zoran, right? They're not saying that they're predestined to to become bad or whatever. They're saying that there's structural impediments to actually being a principled left-wing politician.
Workers are doomed to suffer in their ideology, and it's important that they do suffer to bring about a foretold rapture that is coming. But
like, I don't know anyone who says this. Like, first of all, like within Marxism, there's obviously structuralist and voluntarist strains, but I've never, like, this idea of like a predestined revolution or whatever, like, it's pretty much fallen out of vogue, especially since the Soviet Union has collapsed. You know, like, I'm pretty sure most people understand that, you know, revolution is something we have to organize for and not something that's just gonna happen. You know, like, what, socialism or barbarism isn't a prophecy, it's a warning, and that we need to work to get socialism and not barbarism, right? I mean, like once again, you know, Rosa Luxemburg said that, and she's, sorry, like, she said that socialism, or I don't know, you know what, whatever. I'm tired. I don't want to formulate the brain cells to respond to this. Let's just continue with the book talker. Let's let the book talker speak. Silence. A book talker is speaking.
Any sort of organizing that we might do, whether it's like running political candidates, you know, running election, building third-party power, or trying to make Democrats more progressive, passing social reforms in your area, even they were poo-pooing organizing strikes and labor movements. Anything short of revolution, they say, is pointless because it is not predestined. It is not what Marx said.
What? What? I have never heard anyone say you shouldn't do any organizing ever because revolution is predestined. Like who? Can we have a citation? Can we have a screenshot of a comment? I will take a screenshot of a comment at this point. Okay? Like, just find some random TikTok comment. I will take it. But, like, I have never heard anyone argue that you shouldn't do anything but wait for the revolution. Okay? Like, I don't know. Like, I am very much enmeshed in quote-unquote tanky culture. And, like, I have basically heard no one argue this, you know? Like, most people who argue for revolution argue that, you know, like, revolutionary organizing should be principle and that all other organizing forms should be, you know, secondary. But not that you should abandon all other forms of organizing completely.
Would happen in the way that Marx said it would happen 200 years ago.
Not really. Like, I mean, Marx's prediction that revolution would happen in the most industrialized capitalist states didn't really bear out, you know? Like, revolution ended up happening in, like, the most oppressed third world countries, like China, like in Vietnam. You know, revolution happened there because, you know, obviously he didn't foresee the development of imperialism, right? So, like, this idea that, like, we need to follow Marx's prophecy, like, no. You know, Marxist theoreticians have always been very adept at updating Marxism to the modern day, and that's what Lenin did.
The third similarity I see between tankies and Calvinists is a strategy of accelerating towards this foretold rapture, right? So the tankies believe the revolution is coming in a mystical way. They have
not really. I mean, you have to organize for revolution, you know? I mean, like, the critique that tankies have is that, you know, organizing for reforms, organizing for elections, campaigning, all this infrastructure that's built on electoralism goes away when your candidate wins, right? Like, if you are in an organization that is trying to get a candidate elected and then the election happens, boom, there goes all your momentum, there goes all that energy, there goes all that money that you poured into an election. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, that candidate probably isn't going to get elected. So congrats, you just wasted all that energy that could have gone to something, you know, productive towards actually building a revolutionary consciousness, towards actually building something long-lasting, to, like, a short fucking election season. Like, you know, all of it was completely wasted. And it happens again and again. You know, like, literally, you know, how many elections do we have to go through where people pour all their time and investment and organizational capacity into getting someone elected, and then they fail, and then, boom, that's it, bye-bye, there goes all the energy, there goes all that momentum, there goes all that excitement. Like, you know, like, people just call it a day and go home, you know? And, like, that's the critique of electoralism that actually exists, not this idea that, you know, like, we shouldn't ever do electoralism because there's a revolution on the horizon.
Faith in it, and it can only arrive when the conditions that, again, Marx laid out 200 years ago, or that Lenin then reiterated, or the Maoists
whatever Mao said. Like, this person doesn't even know what they're talking about. Like, what are you yapping about? I love book talkers that don't read books. Like, do you even exist at that point? You're a book talker who doesn't read books.
Mao said, the revolution will come when the conditions are met. So just like
not like, have you ever read Mao or Lenin? They do not say that. You know, like, yeah, they talk about the objective and subjective conditions, but they very much also emphasize, you know, subjective conditions of like a revolutionary working class that is organized through a vanguard party. Not that, you know, the revolution is just going to come through objective conditions alone. You know, like, that's, I don't know, it's just ridiculous.
Christian Zionists supporting Jews moving to Israel because the Bible says that all the Jews
What? What? I'm so confused. What?
have to be back in Israel for the rapture to come. These tankies think that it's good, actually, when workers are suffering more and more. It's good, actually.
I mean, like, once again, like, you are talking about American workers, right? People are critical of social welfare programs in the first world because they are built on the spoils of imperialism, right? We're not saying like that workers need to suffer. You know, we're saying that, you know, the easing of their suffering is very much built on getting a bigger piece of the imperialist pie, right? And like, once again, you need a global perspective to understand that critique. You know, you don't need the American brain that like completely ignores workers in the third world. And like, that's the thing with tankyism, is it takes a very internationalist approach to understanding capitalism, because capitalism is a global system. It is fundamentally built on the exploitation of third world countries. So like, yeah.
Social reforms fail and more people are being like imprisoned and starving to death, and their environment is collapsing and the ecosystem is collapsing. They're not going to do anything to stand in the way of those things because they believe all of those terrible calamities and suffering will get us closer to the revolution, which is going to appear magically out of nowhere. And like,
no one has ever said this. no one has ever said that the revolution is going to happen magically. You know, like, the whole point of Lenin is he's arguing in favor of a vanguard party that's going to be organized, that's going to, you know, agitate for a revolution, that's going to make it happen. You know, same with Mao. You know, like, the tankies in general that I've seen, you know, the Marxist-Leninists, the Maoists, they argue in favor of an organized communist party, vanguard party. You know, like, they don't expect the revolution to happen by itself. They want an active, conscious body of professional revolutionaries that are working towards that.
Really doing to bring it about is going into the internet comments of anyone trying to actively make the world better within the systems we have and calling them imperialist.
I mean, what can you, like, oh yeah, when your reforms are built on imperialist plunder, yeah, it is imperialist. What can I say?
Neoliberal bitches. And finally, both tankyism and Calvinism appear to be orthodox religions. So what are the features of an
Orthodox religion?
Orthodox religion? An unwavering adherence to dogma. If you are a tanky, you are not going to be criticizing or questioning any of the judgments of Marx, Lenin, or Mao.
I mean, like, Marx, Lenin, and Mao all disagreed with each other in some way, or they developed each other's ideas in some way that were opposite of what they intended, right? Like, remember, once again, Marx said revolution would happen in the imperial court, that it would happen in countries that were most developed in terms of capitalist development. And it didn't. It happened in Russia, it happened in China, it happened in Vietnam, it happened in oppressed third world countries. And Lenin updated Marx and said, actually, you know, Marx did not foresee imperialism, right? Mao did the same thing. You know, he took these universal ideas within the science of Marxism and developed it to particular conditions. And also, this idea that tankies, this idea is that tankies are like dogmatic and never disagree with each other. Like, I'm so sorry. Have you ever been to like, have you ever talked to a tanky? You know, like, Marxist, Leninists, Maoists, Stalinists, like, all of them hate each other and disagree with each other. Like, just the question of whether China is actually real socialist or not, like, people will fight each other to the death. You know, there's no dogma in these circles, okay? Like, there's very much, like even Hoshihists, Titoists, like, everyone disagrees with each other constantly. You know? Like, what are we talking about?
Any of the judgments of Marx, Lenin, or Mao, those are going to be received to you as of the word of God. There's an tolerance of dissenting ideas, of updating or modernizing.
I mean, like, that's what Marx, Lenin, and Mao did. Like, they literally developed Marxism in their particular context.
Ideas for changing conditions over time. We're just continually looking to the past for answers.
I mean, like, look, if you want to talk about dogmatism, right? Like, certainly there can be a strain of Marxist, Leninists, and Maoists or whatever who are dogmatic, right? But, like, especially if we're talking about imperialism, right? Especially if we're talking about imperialism and, like, applying the conditions or, like, Marxist analysis to the United States, you know, like, it's You know, like the key condition in the United States is, you know, its imperialist, settler, colonialist nature, right? Like that's the big critique a lot of tankies have, is that, you know, if we are applying Marxism to the United States, we have to consider settler colonialism and imperialism because they are foundational to America's character, right? Like why are we acting as if we're dogmatically applying this condition to the United States when, you know, very much we are. You know, we are looking at the settler colonial and imperialist nature of the capitalist state in America.
And assuming that these thinkers of the past had it all correct. And finally, being in an Orthodox religion means that you accept strict interpretations of a narrow list of texts. These interpretations, by the way, are not your own. They're not asking you to read these texts and think critically about them and come up with your own ideas and arguments against them. They're going to tell you what to think about the text, and they're only going to give you, it's going to be a narrow list. They're not going to want you reading too widely outside of their canon.
My thing is like, I mean, this is great. This is good. Let me play this.
Now check.
So they're saying they want you to read and interpret books in a specific way. And like they have this reading list as an example from ML Reading Hub.
Check out this official Marxist-Leninist reading list. It's all Lenin, Stalin, Mao, a little bit of Marx.
So first of all, where in this reading list do they tell you what to think about these texts? Where in the reading list, you know, do they say, you know, you need to read on practice and interpret it in this and XYZ way? Like, no, it's just saying read this book. You know, you might come away, you know, learning something from it. And by the way, there is Ho Chi Minh over there in the corner. You might say it's all Lenin, Stalin, Mao, but yeah, there's Ho Chi Minh right there.
Stalin, Mao.
They have Liu Shaoqi over there on the party. They have Zhao and Lai. You know, it's not just the big heads.
A little bit of Marx. Because frankly, tankies don't want you reading too much Marx, because Marx, I think, would have fucking hated Lenin.
Oh my. Marx would have hated Lenin. This is awesome. I love when anti-communists or anti-tankies or anti-Leninists try to do this argument. They try to do the argument of, oh my god, Marx would have hated Lenin. You know, like, you actually are the fake Marxist because Marx hates Lenin. And I'm like, dude, bro. Like, one, you hate Marx too. Like, why the fuck would I trust anything you have to say about Marx if you fucking hate Marx and you haven't read anything Marx wrote? You know, like, it's like, you know, like the most anti-communist MF comes up to you and says Marx would have hated you, and it's like, okay, dude, do you have you read anything Marx wrote? Have any citation for this?
Who sold out the October Revolution?
Sold out the October Revolution? Lenin organized that. The October Revolution was organized by the Communist Party.
Dissolved the assemblies.
Which assemblies? Are you talking about Constituent Assembly?
Stole democratic power from the people to concentrate it around himself using the Red Guard.
They're using the Red Guard! Oh my god! They don't... The Red Guard was in China's Cultural Revolution. That was like what... It's like you are decades off the timeline at this point. Wrong country, wrong decade, wrong... Red Guard. Lenin concentrated power using the Red Guard. This is beautiful. Like we are like so far off the real country at this point.
He was a dick, and Marx would have hated him. Oh, and another...
Marx would have hated him. Yeah, Marx himself was a bit of a deviant, you know? Like, bro literally never bathed. He was like fucking lived in dog shit and filth all the time. Like he got them checks from Engels and wrote Capital. Like, I don't think Marx would have given a fuck if someone was a dick, you know? Like, as long as they adhered to a good political line, which Lenin did in fact develop.
Another similarity I forgot to add on here is patriarchy, right? That entire list was men, except one of the honorable mentions was Reform or Revolution by Rosa Luxemburg. So many of these tankies over the past week kept telling me I had to read Reform or Revolution to understand why reform hurts our path to revolution. So I went and read it, and in the first fucking paragraph, Rosa Luxemburg says social reforms are absolutely essential for building class consciousness, for moving towards the revolution. She was just responding to a thinker at the time who was saying revolution altogether will be unnecessary. Reform will be enough. She was saying, look, reform is so important. It's the only...
I mean, like, once again, like, are we really taking Rosa Luxemburg? Like, Rosa Luxemburg, once again, you know, Rosa Luxemburg, great. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, like, there's a different context between Germany at this period and modern day United States. You know, there is a context. Like when people criticize reforms in the United States, they're saying it comes at the cost of imperialism, right? There's a huge difference between a modern day United States and like what 19th century Germany. You know, like once again, like we're dogmatic. Like this person's critically saying that tankies dogmatically apply theory into the modern day, but like you are quite literally reading, you know, a different context, a different century in a different country and applying it to the modern day United States, you know? And like my thing is like I am not fully anti-reform, you know? Like I think there can be ways that reforms can be revolutionary, right? But like especially in the United States, like I haven't really seen it borne out through practice. You know what I'm saying? Like in the United States, they can't even get reform. You know, the bourgeois class doesn't give a fuck about, you know, reforming shit. You know, it's just getting more and more bloodthirsty in terms of raging imperialist war across the world.
Only means of engaging in the proletarian class war and working in the direction of the final goal. But she thinks there's still gonna need to be a revolution at the end of all that. The tankies don't know
I mean, yeah, exactly.
that because they're not actually reading all the books that they spout off when they start to try to sound really smart and well-read.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love the self-satisfied face. I can't even get mad. I love this.
They're just relying on strict interpretations that have been handed down to them by bossier, more annoying tankies. Because it's actually a cult. It's a cult that has a great many similarities to Christian evangelicalism. Suffering is not purifying. That's a lie. It's just suffering. And right now, in our, yes, flawed, corrupt electoral system, there are a surprising number of decent people running to alleviate suffering.
The problem isn't suffering. The problem is, once again, alleviating that suffering comes at the cost of who? You know, it comes at the cost of the entire world. You know, like if to alleviate your suffering, you require a bigger piece of the imperialist pie. You're not actually alleviating suffering. You're just redistributing it, right? Like, and once again, you know, the critique of electoralism of running in the Democratic Party isn't that, you know, the Democratic Party or like it's inherently bad to run in elections. The critique is that you're going to be subsumed by a structure that is built to subsume radical politics, and you're just going to become, at the end of the day, another bot in the machine.
In your community. Welcome to How.
You know, I love that. I want to see what books they have in the corners. The Free People's Village, Genocide Bad. I haven't read that one actually. Antidote, Monstrous Affections. Okay, I don't know any of these books. You know, maybe I'm a fake book talker. I've not read enough books. Graham Plattner, please, Graham Plattner. Is Genocide Bad a good book, guys? Is Genocide Bad a good book? I've seen that occasionally at different bookstores. I'm like, should I buy this? The Plattnerite left in a nutshell. Literally just systematically. Please. Lesser of two evils thinking is literally holding the vulnerable hostage. That is the author of Genocide Bad. What? No way. Wait, this person wrote Genocide Bad? What? Wait, what? No way. That's wild. Now I want to see this. The author of Genocide Bad is complaining about tankies when like the communist left has been one of the biggest factions of the Palestinian resistance, or it's been one of the like most mobilized factions in opposing negotiations with Israel. Like, really? Like, we're complaining about tankies being Zionists when like the PFLP and DFLP have been one of the like factions that have been openly against any negotiations or collaboration with Israel. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we have lost the plot. We have lost the fucking plot. Good lord. You know, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But you know what? It's okay, because we're gonna do more anti-tanky rage bait, guys. We are going to do more anti-tanky rage bait because I don't know if y'all remember this. This lives in my head rent-free. But like, I watched this podcast episode years ago. It was from this podcast called the Marxist Humanist Initiative. And they had this this podcast was on a like anti-tanky roll. They were like having constant podcast episodes complaining about tankies. And like they had this beautiful episode talking about like youth who desisted from tankyism. This episode was from 5 years ago, and it lives in my head rent-free because these people are acting like being a tanky or, you know, upholding Marxist-Leninist Maoist politics is somehow a cult, and that they had to desist from it. It's just like, dude, it's not that deep. You know, like, one, there's no actual organized political party or organization that's like the vanguard party in the United States, okay? Like, you literally just read a few Reddit posts and you thought like the memes were funny. You found Stalin memes funny, and then you desisted from finding them funny. I'm like, dude, that doesn't even deserve an Instagram story post, bro. Like, why are you going on a podcast to talk about how you desisted from tankyism? Like, what is even going on? So this is episode 9 of the Marxist Humanist Initiative, the tanky craze, resurgent Stalinism among youth. Let me, this is a podcast, so there's not going to be any visuals, so feel free to listen to this as a podcast, guys. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm gonna, in fact, I might do a transcript. I might try to find funnier bits.
In May of 2019, our co-host, Andrew Kleiman, headed down to George Mason University to speak on a panel he was invited to.
Oh wait, this is the wrong episode. This is the first part of their series. I need to find the other part where they have like the two teenagers on who talk about how they abandoned tankyism. Let me find. That was the first part. The teenagers one is really funny because like it's so funny. Here it is. Okay, I found it, guys. Don't worry. So this is episode 13, the tanky craze, disillusioned radical youth fighting Stalinism. Fighting Stalinism, as if that's a relevant fucking ideology. I love this.
Revolutionary violence and terror, at least in and of itself, is not a virtue. Radicalism is not measured by how many people you kill. Radicalism is to grasp the root of the matter and to understand what needs to be done to fix the world as it is.
Exactly. Like, do you think Stalin and all these other countries turned to terror as their first option? Like this is what's so like, yes, obviously terror is bad, like if you're pursuing it in itself, but if you are like defending a revolution that, you know, is trying to educate people and better their lives and, you know, empower the working class, like, yes, you should absolutely defend yourself against capitalist encirclement, right? Like, once again, a lot of these measures were taken in response to capitalist encirclement. They weren't taken because, you know, you just randomly decided to throw people in gulags for fun. You know, like, they're taken in self-defense.
It's not about how many people you can put into the gulags. And that sounds obvious, I suppose, to us, but it's, again, it's posturing. It's about what feels the most extreme, which feels justified when the current order is so absolutely thoroughly shit.
And that's
I love this because it's like this is awesome. This is awesome.
one of my favorite highlights of an interview that is featured in this week's episode of Radio Free Humanity. And views of
primary, you know, you got two like really white states, and then Nevada, you got all of date
strategies, and not just say, oh, don't.
Into the limelight of the political realm in the U.S. And many young people, of course, they were and still are very enthused by that. And from there, I kind of saw him as just something different, you know.
Whenever I got into politics are the two issues were the Iraq War and the 2008 recession. Those are the two things that for me form the framework of my politics. And so for me, everything came down to there's a recession, capitalism is unstable and unfit for humanity, and it promotes imperialism in the form of the Iraq War, which we should oppose. And that's, I think, what inadvertently opened me up to Stalinism, in that...
What?
For me.
This is awesome. You know what? That's actually good, though. You know, like, if you see American imperialism and the instability of capitalism, like, in 2008, like, yeah, I think you should be like, yeah, you know, Stalin kind of did some good things, you know? You know what I mean? Like, look, you know, say what you want, but the Soviet Union didn't have to go through the Great Depression, you know?
This opposition to imperialism made me incredibly open to the idea that, like, U.S. narratives, the mainstream narrative about things, isn't just wrong or biased, but is propaganda that is intentionally either distorted or outright fabricated.
For me personally, I kind of had the same thing, except it wasn't the recession or the beginning or the Iraq War that kind of tipped me off. It was around 2016 or 2015, and that was when Bernie Sanders started his campaign, and the idea of a social democracy came back into the limelight of the political realm, and really radical.
But the question of why you were attracted to Stalinism at that moment is still eludes me, because there are a lot of other forms of radicalism out there. Some of them you dipped into. Why did this seem the most radical? Just because it was so opposed to the U.S., the U.S. had been so opposed to it? Or why dig up a long dead political regime to admire at that point? And why stop your search? I mean, you didn't think of this, but at that time you just got sucked into that without questioning it.
Well, for me personally, there were actually several reasons. I mean, for one, it seemed that obviously after the whole...
the dog shit audio. Like, I know I'm the last person who should speak on this, but goddamn, the dog shit audio quality on this podcast. Like, good lord. Like, where'd they record this? like what the fuck? They record this with their iPhone? I'm so confused.
Cold War, we've always been taught, oh, communism has killed millions of people, oh, these regimes were bad, and which obviously that is completely correct. But at the time, because it seemed to be the most radically opposed to liberalism and, you know, in the current capitalist framework, it struck me as, oh, okay, this is good, like, okay, they might be authoritarian, but they did stuff. And then another thing which I think was important in my development was, I think many leftists, and especially tankies, kind of take on the same framework and the same idea, is that a lot of them are very kind of insecure about their leftism, because they come from a barrage of conservatives or even some internal self-doubt that, oh, well, if socialism is so great, then why has it never worked? And you start going like, oh, well, maybe they're right. But then you start to be for some reason become more comfortable through this insecurity with the idea that with people like Michael Parenti saying, oh, well, it did work actually. Look, the USSR industrialized rapidly. They had literacy programs and healthcare programs, so they did a great job. And it kind of was a defense mechanism almost. It was something that you could find comfort in with your leftist beliefs. It's something you could use. And that kind of...
I mean, like, is that finding comfort or is that just a basic fact? You know, I mean, like, look, you know, like, you can try to dismiss the revolutions in the USSR and in China, but like they objectively did help millions of people. You know, like, is that finding comfort or is that like looking at a situation objectively and being impressed by it? You know, like, I don't think that's comfort. I think that's like an objective analysis.
State of comfort was kind of another thing that allowed you to be attracted to it, because there are a lot of these other leftists who go,
Horrific people. I mean, do they have any citations? Oh, no audio. No audio. Okay, guys, don't worry. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. We'll be back.
So it was really that they were regimes that had state power, even though they were over with and long dead and didn't make any kind of lasting socialism at all.
Well,
it was just because it was so different from U.S. capitalism that you didn't look twice at its real nature.
In all honesty, yes, that is actually why. It's because, and a lot of people, especially those sympathetic to Stalinism, will be like, oh, well, what have you guys done? We've built all these societies and started revolutions, and oh, what have you guys have done? Nothing. And then it kind of, that too, it's because like that idea of activity, and just like even just you kind of began to also fetishize activity and revolution just for its own sake. Like, oh, they did something, so they must be correct. It was just the idea that...
I mean, like, activity for its own sake. Like, I'm so sorry, making an entire country literate, you know, fighting off and beating off Nazi hordes, and like creating a strong industrialized state that's able to go to the outer space after being a semi-feudal peasant state, you know, at the end of World War I. Like, that's an accomplishment. You know, that's not just, you know, blowing air out of your ass. Like, Soviet Union and Communist China actually accomplished great things. Like, I'm really confused by the argument here. It's like, these things look good on paper, but actually they were not. And it's like, but they are. They're objectively good. You know?
They did something, and that they were radical and opposed to the current state of things and the old order, that it was so enthralling and just so incredible to you.
It was enthralling that they did good things, but actually they didn't do good things. I'm like, I don't know, what is this argument? I'm really confused.
I had a little bit of a different experience in that James was, as he describes it, a tanky light, whereas I was a full-blown Stalinist.
We're doing layers now. He was a tanky light while I was a Stalinist. I love this. I love this. So, I didn't even know there were ranks. There were ranks in tankyism now. Like, my thing is, these are just two random teenagers who, like, were shit posting in, like, tanky forums or left-wing communist forums, and now they're like going on this podcast to talk about how they desisted from tankyism. And it's like, dude, it's not that serious. If you want to be a social democrat, go be a social democrat, okay? Go vote for the next fucking democrat imperialist Zionist who's going to kill fucking hundreds of thousands of brown people in the imperialist world. You don't have to be on a podcast to talk about how brave you are for taking the default position in imperialist country. Like, good lord. You know, like, these people not only want to take the default position of, like, social democracy or whatever the fuck in an imperialist country, they also want to be called brave. You know, they're so brave for fighting against the evil, seductive tankies who are, like, telling them to support Stalin and the Soviet Union. Like, dude, you know, like, good lord, you're not fucking brave for being an imperialist in an imperialist country.
Which, do not like saying that out loud.
I know, it hurts, yeah.
But the thought process for me is I actually started out, before I was a tanky, as an anarchist for a very brief window of time. That's where I went originally, because I read excerpts of Orwell's Homage to Catalonia, and I thought the experiment there sounded great. It didn't work, but that got blamed on the just anything really.
Okay, I'm gonna skip this. He's boring.
Me to convert to Stalinism was not only that it worked, but that
convert to Stalinism,
according to these people who I had deluded myself into thinking were credible sources on the matter, it was as good as the propaganda said it was.
Hey, look, I want to re-ask a question that Andrew asked a little bit earlier about sort of when you earlier said like the sort of audacity of the Stalinist position was attractive because it was almost like so punk rock or something, which is so like
yeah, Stalin is punk rock, guys.
Blatantly contradictory to accepted truth, that it was like you know, something striking about it which would attract someone who was looking for that, and those kind of sort of almost performative politics. So there's that. But then you're also saying that, you know, you read Grover Furr and found his defense of Stalinism like believable.
Okay, man, if you read Grover Furr, I guess maybe he was a little deep in the rabbit hole.
You know, not just that it was like audacious and shocking and like titillating, but it was like, oh, this is legit stuff. Like, maybe this actually is reality. This tanky's position is reality. So do you think you maybe oscillated between? And you know, Andrew was saying, like, you know, do people really believe all these things, or is some of it just sort of, it doesn't all have to be true for it to be part of because I believe in the cause, or it doesn't also be true because
it's believing in propositions versus believing in a cause.
Right. Like I think a lot of people, they actually know that Bernie Sanders' plans don't all add up and there's no way to pay for them, but they're like, well.
We're still doing the pay for social programs things. Bro, read up on MMT, okay? Read up on modern monetary theory, okay? You don't need to pay for social programs.
Screw it. I believe in the cause of social democracy, so I'll sort of pretend to be for all these things. You know, I'll sort of defend these positions, but I actually know there's a lot of like fluff in there, and it's not all legit economically.
For me, it's kind of both, or it was kind of both. I started out wanting to back the movement, the proposition.
Ooh, the Noxlotl says that debate with FD Signifier and Bad and Panada was awful. Drop a little bit of a summary in chat. I'll read it later. I'm really interested. I'm gonna watch it after the stream.
The idea of it all, but personally, and this isn't true for everyone, but I think it is true for a significant portion, I then went to go find reasons to back myself. The subreddit r/communism has this
the subreddit
giant master post list of sources that they claim debunk just about every single fact that we know about the Soviet Union, Red China, Cuba, all of these places. And I don't think most people read them. I didn't read all of them, but it's the fact that these sources exist. It's alluring. When this is a pages-long document full of links to books and articles from supposedly non-Stalinist sources who couldn't deny the truth that Stalin was great. Like H.G. Wells was a somewhat admirer of Stalin. Stuff like that. People will latch onto that and be like, see, he wasn't even a Stalinist, but he met Stalin, he went to the Soviet Union, and he couldn't deny the truth. But people know the name H.G. Wells. They know he wrote books. He's a smart guy. And so it lends a credibility to it. And it's not, personally, I believed it, but I didn't go out of my way to make sure that my views were sound. I just went far enough to know that other people thought they were sound.
I know. Maybe read them? Like, my thing is like, bro, you know, like, you're acting like you're a victim here, but like, maybe you should have just read the books, you know, maybe you should have read the sources. I don't know. It's like, dude, if you turned to Stalinism because you saw a Reddit post with like 1 billion links, maybe you should have actually read the links. And like, maybe you're not maybe you're not a victim of a cult here. Maybe you just like didn't want to actually do the reading. You know, like, that's what tankies are like most known for, is like, yeah, do the fucking reading, bro. Do the fucking reading. You know? I love this. And I love people trying to like pretend that they're like victims of some cult or something when all they did was like post a few memes on a subreddit. It's like, dude, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. Go be a sock dem. Go be like a Marxist humanist or whatever. You don't need to publicly desist and do like a public service announcement being like, I now desist from Stalinism. I no longer view Stalin and the Soviet experiment positively. It's like, congrats, bro. You know, welcome to like 90% of like the American left. You know, you're not a brave bean for saying the most common opinion in the American left today. Like, good lord, you know? But anyway, I think that's the end of the organized segments, but I just want to talk and yap a little bit before I end stream. You know, we have been streaming for 2.5 hours, which is wild, guys. The stream went on way too long because I've been really well, I was watching the fucking FD Signifier and Bad and Panada debate. So the Noxlotl said FD Signifier was basically like this to BE. You know, you want to say the N-word to me, come on, just say it. Yes, I was there earlier. I was there right when FD said that. But anyway, I am going to do a little bit of discourse. You know, this part is not going to be clipped in the live stream, so this will be a live stream exclusive. But I am really obsessed with this discourse on Twitter about YouTube video essays. So let me pull up the tweet right now. So guys, my thing is, if I was not an animated YouTuber, if I didn't make animations or have a little VTuber, I am afraid that I probably would have turned out exactly like this, guys. You know, so this is a tweet says, could not pay me to watch this. And it's this Edvasion guy saying the overconsumption problem with crumble cookies. Guys, and then everyone in the comments are hating on it. You know, they're saying, why does he kind of look like this? You know, I'm so sick of video essay slop pollution. You know, I hate video essays, blah, blah, blah. All video essays are slop. You know, I hate the word overconsumption on video essay channels. They make video slop repeating the same two things, the content exactly the same. Guys, I'm scared. Like, if this could have been me. In fact, this might be me, guys. Like, look, I'm so sorry. This guy could, like, Asian, he's talking in front of a camera, talking about, like, vaguely leftist things. If, in another universe, this would be me. Also, people are, like, saying he's gay. Gay in the replies. I'm just like, dude, that's so, I don't know. Honestly, I kind of see it. You know, as someone who's actually a fruity Asian, my gaydar is kind of tingling, just very slightly. But in another universe, in another life, this would be me. You know, for leave my people alone, okay? Us Asian Americans, we have some fucked shit going on, okay? We're under a lot of pressure, okay? Give us an excuse. Give us some slack, okay? You know, we're just like built to talk about labubus and overconsumption and crumble cookies. No, this is another thing as well. Is like, I don't know if he actually is Revo. Do not quote me on this, but my gaydar is tingling a little bit, you know, and it's not just homophobia speaking, it's, you know, experience. It's experience. But there is so much discourse online hating on Asian American doing the video essay slop. So I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if you guys know this video essays, but like last week, there was literally a bajillion bajillion tweets hating on this poor girl. Bajillion tweets hating on this poor girl. Olivia Sunvia? I don't really know her. How to pronounce her name. But like, they were hating on this poor girl and like a bunch of other content creators who make video essays that are very similar. And they're like, oh my god, I hate this slop, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's always people who just like put a photo of themselves, do a white outline, and then they have like some pseudo-intellectual topic. And yes, this video specifically was on the discourse on Twitter for like a week. And let me just say, guys, you know, I will say this, okay? Leave Asian American women alone, okay? As an Asian American man, I will say Asian American women get a ton of hate, you know? Like first of all, even from other Asian American men, okay? Like, Asian American men are, like, low-key, genuinely, like, misogynist as fuck. You know? They do the, you know, they do the Oxford study shit. Like, there was so many weirdos in the replies of Twitter being like, oh my god, I bet she's an Oxford study, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, okay, can we chill? Can we chill? You know, stop, you know, leave my people alone. Let my people free, okay? Stop calling us gay and stop hating on Asian American women. Okay, let us make our video essay slop, okay? This is what we were made for. You know, we're under a lot of pressure these days. Oh man. But I love this. I do think you know, as someone who's more interested in more radical politics, you know, I don't really watch a lot of these video essays. You know, I don't know if I would get a lot from watching and learning about the overconsumption of crumble cookies. The overconsumption problem with crumble cookies. But you know, I think it's fine. You know, it's like content. You know, like YouTube isn't meant to be a academic space where everything has to be like super sourced, super academic, super groundbreaking. Like, at the end of the day, they can just be video essay slop, and I think that's fine. You know, it's slop and it's fine. You know, stop using it as an excuse to hate on my poor Asian American brothers and sisters, okay? We are all one. I stand with my Asian American brothers and sisters. What I love about Asian American diaspora discourse, by the way, guys, I am in the diaspora of the Philippines, but like, one of my favorite things about the discourse is like how it's so samey, and like I think the samey problems are starting to blend into the video essays we make. You know, like, for one, you know, like, there's that stereotype of Asian American diaspora literature just being like, I was born in two worlds. You know, like, whenever I would bring my Asian lunch to school, people would laugh at my stinky lunch. And like, they're always like angst posting about how hard it is to be Asian American. And you know, like, part of it is true, but also it gets so repeated so much in diaspora discourse that it's a little stale. It gets very old after a while. You know? And I will say is, I think the sameness problem is now infecting the video essays we make. You know, although I think it's less to do with the Asian American experience and more to do with the algorithm. You know, like, I think the algorithm just rewards this type of thumbnail. You know, where it's just your face and then you have a little outline and you're like talking about something with like a bunch of photos in the background. Like, yeah, it's a formula, and if it works, it works. You know, like, look, these videos get like what, hundreds of thousands of views. You know, they're doing better than me. They're doing better than me. What can I say? You know, so if it works, it works. You know, maybe don't hate the player, hate the game. You know. But anyway, I just had to talk about this because this discourse has been haunting my feed. Like, there's so much hate directed towards, you know, like a slop video essayists, and it's like, look, leave them alone, okay? I will defend my brothers and sisters from the slander being put on them. Oh my god. But anyway, I think that's about it for this stream. Let me see if there's anything else that I am missing in chat. As a Caucasian South African, I stand with Asian Americans. We are all equal. We are all Charlie Kirk. Exactly. Where can we find the bad empanada / FD signifier debate? You can find it on Noah Samsen. Look up Noah Samsen and look at his live stream. You can probably go back to, you know what? Let me see. Let me pull it up right now, guys. Before I end the live stream, let me do it right now because I am gonna go back and watch the VOD of this thing because I am deeply obsessed with it. I am deeply obsessed with what the fuck is going on. So this is Noah Samsen. He's streaming right now because he's getting sued by Ethan Klein. He's fundraising for his lawsuit. And so if you go to his current live stream and you go back, oh no, it's gone. Okay, let me find it. Let me find it. Does he have it somewhere else? Oh yes, he ended. Okay, so if you go to this one, and then here it is. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay, so this is where Bad Empanada and FD Signifier have their little debate. I'm so excited to watch this, guys. From what I've heard from everyone, it's a bit of a shit show. Oh wait, what? He talks to Bad at the end? I didn't know he talks to Bad at the very end there. But anyway, I'm so excited to watch this, guys. Thank you all for coming to the stream this week. So, I already mentioned it earlier, but my next video is likely going to be on Hezbollah. I know it lost the poll last stream, but, you know, I think it's important to talk about an issue that's more contemporaneous. Like, the East Germany one, I think, but also I can make a video on East Germany whenever I want. You know, I think I want to make a video that's talking more about the resistance nowadays instead of, you know, like a bygone socialist state. So, next video will be on Hezbollah. I also have a Patreon only video being dropped soon. Ooh, GDF had a good video on them. I will watch that. I've been watching a lot of documentaries on them, and I've been reading a lot of books. But I will see that. I didn't know you streamed. I'm happy I caught this earlier. Thank you for coming, Zedam. Thank you, Sandra LC, channel member. Thank you, Hidden Iron. Thank you, Mimicry MRX. Thank you to Noxlotl. Channel members. Thank you, Pope Desu. And thank you to everyone who came on stream. Thank you, Demarex. You see, Charlie Kirk was an assassin. He was teleported to Agartha. You know, Candace Owens would unironically say that. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Revo. Thank you, Red Resistance. Thank you, Eridu Boy. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Chihuahua. Thank you, Battle. And thank you, Piotr. Oh my god, I butchered your name. I'm so sorry. All right. Godspeed, soldiers. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.